Morning and welcome. I'm Jackie Ray Greening along with Hector Gervais. We are coming to you live from the Leduc Curling Club in the Black Gold Center. It is the home of the Provincial Men's Curling Championships for 1992, the Labatt Tankard. And now it's time to focus on the game coming up. We've had a look at both of the skips. On sheet one, it's going to be Kevin Martin against Doran Johnson. And are you going to go out on a limb and pick anybody going in, Hector?
Well, Kevin, has started to play well in the last while, and he was telling me that Kevin Park's just playing really well. When you've won the Canadian Championship, you've got a lot of pride, and you just hate anybody to beat you. And when you're at this level, you don't need any more pumping up. You're at the provincials, and one more step as a Canadian, and I just can't bet against Kevin. Doran Johnson, if there is somebody that might beat him the first game, it might be him, because he, as we heard, he's ready. Everything is a positive thing to him. It's a great round robin, great ice, and he's got the right attitude. And maybe if Kevin slips up here, he might better watch out.
I don't know if this definitely has any effect on a team, but looking at the lineup for Doran Johnson, they represent the Lethbridge Curling Club. They won the C event out of Southern Alberta. But his team's a little varied. His third is from Medicine Hat. His second is a farmer in the Red Deer area. His lead, though, is from Lethbridge. A team that doesn't be able to practice and curl together all season long. Do you think that hurts a team?
Well, you'd think it would. I know that the more you can play together, and Kevin has played, I'd say, between 50 and 60 games at least together this year. They went to every spiel together, plus they practiced together. It's got to be an advantage, and with the South, you can pick anybody from the South to play together. Doran played some teams we never really heard of before to get here, and Kevin had to play some of the top teams in the North to get out, and it's got to be an advantage to play lots, and that's what Kevin did this year, lots with his team.
Yeah, that's going to be on sheet one, the Kevin Martin versus Doran Johnson, and we are definitely going to keep you up to date on the other games that are going to be going on tonight in the first round of the Labatt Alberta Tankard. On sheet two, we have the home team. Ones everybody's out here cheering for tonight is David Stewart from Leduc going against Stacy Cumber of Grand Prairie, and your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, Stewart should be the favorite on this one. Cumber's a new team, and they're both new teams, actually, so there shouldn't be anybody nervous about playing somebody else. Stewart has the hometown fans, I'm sure, pulling for him. He's played on this ice all year long, or for the last quite a few years. So if I was going to pick a team, I'd pick Stewart over Cumber, although I know a couple of the players. Dennis Graber I know very well, was in a Brier in '82. Mike Student played in the juniors in Edmonton. In fact, played with my son Stan, and
pretty good lineup.
Good lineup. So I haven't really seen them. I played against Stewart once a few years ago in a spiel here, and they're a good hitting team. If they can stay close or get ahead, they're going to be tough to beat.
And on sheet three, Calgary's Frank Morissette is going against last year's provincial runner-up, which is Michael Vavrick of Grand Prairie. So Morissette against Vavrick. What are your thoughts there?
Well, that should be a good match. They're both, been in it lots of times. Vavrick's been in 6 different times in the provincials, and that's quite a feat for a young fella. Frank Morissette was in the Brier in '76, playing third for Wayne Sokolowski. He was in last year, although he had a quick, went through it with 3 straight losses. He's played in '80 and '82, and we played him, in fact, in 1980, the last time I was in the provincial. So he's got lots of experience. He's
just depends probably on what he has in front of him.
Yes, he's turned 40, and that's not old. Look at I won my last Brier when I was 40. Lukowicz won his last Brier when he was 40. So if you're skipping, and the experience sometimes pays off, but he'd be a little bit of a dark horse. I think Vavrick's going to be tough to beat.
And on ice 4, we have an unknown quantity in Brian Costain, and he is going to be taking on a very hot Don Walchuk.
Well, and as Doran Johnson said, he said he was so hot against him in the A final that they didn't have a chance. So he must be a pretty good team. But boy, Walchuk and his team has started rolling at the right time. They started, about after Christmas, around Christmas time, starting to curl better. Qualified in a couple of spiels before Christmas, started going hot in the Super League, and won some very tough teams. Beat Kevin Martin and Marv Worth, and then Randy Furby in a row. And boy, that's quite a day's work.
That definitely is, and I think nothing complements a team more when you do have a veteran such as Gord Trenchy at third, and you have Don Walchuk at skipstones, and then you have that young front end. So you have the two Don and Gord there to calm them down.
Well, I'm not sure who put the team together, but if it was Don Walchuk, he did it right. He got a veteran guy that's not going to get excited. He can ask a lot of advice from him. And he's got two young guys, a junior, just come out of juniors. One is 20, one is 21, and they're going to be a tough young team in front of you, a veteran at third, and
they're going to be fun to watch, I think, this weekend.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the Walchuk team is that the front end are really throwing the rock well. They throw it right up the broom most of the time. We had the opportunity to play them in the city zones, and I was really impressed with the improvement that they made throughout the season.
And right now, I have a guest just came in here, and his head wasn't too big. It did fit through the door because he threw the first rock right to the pin. Wes Montgomery, welcome to our telecast. Did they cheat? Did we miss something?
I tell you what, Jackie, if I had sweeping like that all year, Marvin Schmidt, and somebody who knew what he was doing holding the broom, I'd be curling out there with these guys today. It was that simple.
It was that simple. Were you blindfolded? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Well, I tell you what, that ice is so good out there. We came out to play in the Leduc Spiel a couple of weeks ago at 9 o'clock in the morning on an outside sheet, and it was like it was the middle of the day, and it was keen. The ice was absolutely, you have to be a pretty bad curler, I tell you what, to fall down and make a jerk of yourself out there. So we did get lucky, but I'm giving it to Marvin Schmidt and Gil Svensson for a great job.
Well, I know when you let it go, I thought, golly, he's not going to make the rings, but you're right, look keen, real nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful ice, and it does pull, so we're going to see a lot of great curling this week, as we know, because if teams get behind, they can come back on this ice, because it will pull with the right weight, as you know, and that'll make it interesting for the fans to watch.
And that's what's going to be a bonus, because the teams, of course, going through the Northerns and Camrose, this is definitely going to be a delight for them.
A little straighter in Camrose, I understand. I didn't get out there. This will be a little more exciting, I think, and good luck to you trying to carry Hector for the first three draws. I've got to do a football bit back in the city, but I'll be back on Thursday if there's anything left of Hector.
Okay, I'll try my best.
I don't want to hear you mention anything about drawing the button again this week.
You want to curl third for me next year, Hector?
I think so.
They'll enter the senior ladies.
All right, good luck, guys.
Thanks very, very much, Wes. And as Wes said, he's going to be back for the telecast later in the week here on Shaw Cable. He's busy with the CFL coaches dinner and everything this week. And our feature game is underway, as you can see, the matchup between Kevin Martin and Doran Johnson. So it's officially underway, the 1992 Labatt Alberta Tankard. Kevin he does have a wireless mic, so if we can throughout the game, we'll listen in on some of his conversations. But as you know, Hector, he and Kevin Park as third make their decisions fairly quickly, so we'll have to be...
Well, they didn't win the toss. In fact, I was in the waiting room when they did toss, and Kevin Park called it wrong, but...
Well, isn't this interesting? Already, Doran Johnson is going to the corner guard. He ignored Kevin's rock in the forefoot, which Donnie Bartlett put there. So the gambler is playing.
And obviously, Doran was probably thinking of a game plan, and man, this is it. Go after him right away. If you're going to get him early.
Well, why not? If you're one down, you do that with last rock. Why not do it when you're tied? And that's something a little different, and that's all he has to do. Sometimes it might shake up a champion, but Kevin wasn't going to draw a foul for that. He figured it's going to be too tough to put 7 or 8 guards on that, so he's going to keep hitting that corner guard for a little while, and then he might change his mind and put a guard on there and maybe try and steal the end.
Yeah, and Don Bartlett made his first shot perfect, threw it top forefoot, and then he peeled that off. So so far curling 100%, which I'm sure he's always near there, isn't he? Don Bartlett, very consistent lead.
See, Kevin would be very smart to make sure he's in the rings when he hasn't got last rock, because I think Doran Johnson would come around anything, and so, that's a mistake a lot of times in the first ends when you haven't got last rock. If your lead comes up short and things start going wrong, they either miss it or hit on the nose. It's a gambling end, and you can get hurt. And Kevin says, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit this one, get rid of it, and let him take his winter blanket.
And Doran's lead, Terry Hamilton, who also is from Lethbridge, puts up another corner guard, and Kevin calling for the PO once again.
And he's peeling the right way. You could go to the outturn side, but he's figuring if it does go wrong and he hits it 3/4 on, he might roll right on the center line and guard his own. And Dan Petrick, who's a very good second, dandy shot. They're trying to get it out. They were hoping it would maybe stop on the center line. And Dan was with Kevin when they won the Canadian Juniors in 1985, and he's been with him ever since, and satisfied playing there. He doesn't want to play anywhere else, and you know, it's a nice way of thinking. You might as well be the best second there is than moving up sometimes and being not as good at another position.
And now Doran Johnson is asking his second, Rob Armitage, who's a farmer in the Red Deer area, he's asking him now to go after it. He figured he probably didn't suck Kevin in there, so he's going to take that rock out.
Well, he's just feeling Kevin out, you know, maybe Kevin might have left that corner guard, and then Doran would get an idea what to do, and he can't keep doing it too long because there's, as the end progresses, Kevin might put a guard on that one, and it's a little too close to the button to have to out-curl on the first end. And a great shot by a second man.
Yeah, Rom Armitage hitting it on the nose and rolling a bit. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see probably for the first few ends, is the two skips just trying to feel each other out.
Well, that's the way most good teams should do it. If you're a good team, why put all your marbles in one end and try to get ahead? You know, you might get in deep trouble and get down. So, you know, just feel them out for an end or two to get to know the ice. They haven't played each other very often, if any, ever played each other in competitive curling. So, you know, they don't know each other that well. He knows a lot more about Kevin and his team than Kevin knows about his team because he hasn't seen them together.
It's going to be probably fairly clean, I would think, for the first few ends. But then again, both teams have had a chance to practice, so they know the ice. They basically know how it's curling. They know the feel of it because they did have their practice time prior to it.
Well, it's very hard to do anything else. What are you going to do? He did try a corner guard, didn't seem to work, so now, you know, he's got to play the end out, hope to have a miss or something happen, and if it doesn't, blank the end and try to get something going the next time, because as the game progresses, the pressure gets on a little more, and somebody might slip up and do something wrong.
Doran's second, Rob Armitage, another hit and stick. Rob has curled with Doran for about 4 years now, so even though he lives in Red Deer and Doran lives in Lethbridge, they probably do know each other very, very well, being together that many years.
And there's a lot of big spiels to go to out there. The Rainbow Spiel in Lethbridge is on. They go to some big spiels in Calgary, and they've probably played quite a few games together. So, you know, Doran is 35 years old and 10 years older than Kevin, but Kevin has pretty near played as long. Doran has played for 22 years of curling. That's a lot of curling out of 35, but Kevin started when he was 8 years old, and he was born in Killam, although he lived most of his life in Lougheed, Alberta, and
normal hit.
You know, he's won a lot of things for a young fella. You know, he won 2 Canadian championships. The only skip, I think, that's won a Canadian championship skipping in juniors and skipping in men's. There's been lots of them won it, but not skipping in both. So he's had quite an accomplishment there. He didn't do quite as well in the both worlds. He lost the final game both worlds. Could have won both of them with a little break here or there. So
I'm sure that is something that probably is still bothersome to Kevin. I think that's probably why the Olympics are such a big goal for him, because he has lost 2 huge finals, the World Junior Final and the World Men's Final.
Yeah, and both times, well, last year he never lost a game in the round robin and lost the final game. You know, the Olympics, I think, would be nice to win if it's accepted, and you know, the media catch on to the Olympic name of the Olympics more than they do a lot of other things. So it is big, and he's you know, he knows it's big, and even if it's a demonstration port this year, if he can win it. But right now, I'm sure his mind is I don't know how many miles it is to France, but he's that far away and not even thinking of this is what's on his mind, and he'd be really proud to be going down there knowing that he's going to be representing Alberta when he gets back.
You bet. Kevin Park, third for Kevin Martin, makes a perfect draw to the top 4-foot. Jerry Wilson down at ice level. He's going to be keeping us up to date of things down there. Probably, I see already a couple of games going into the second end there, Jerry.
Yes, Jackie, that's right. And Mike Vavrick blanked the first end and retains the hammer, so it's 0-0 against Mike Vavrick and Frankie Morissette. And Don Walchuk blanked the first end against Brian Costain, and Don Walchuk retains the hammer. So those 2 games are scoreless. It was quite an open, just bang, bang, hit 'em game. Nobody took any type of chances for the first end.
And back to our feature game, Kevin Martin, defending Canadian champion, coming down to throw his first rock at the first end, just an open in-turn hit.
Well, it's nice to get that first rock thrown, too, in a competition like this, and I'm sure he's glad that he's not facing 3 or 4 rocks in front of the house and having to make a tough shot. This is an open shot, and it's kind of nice to get going that way, especially without last rock, and he's going to be happy here to let them blanket, or even Doran hopefully take one point to give him last rock back. But it is nice to go down there and throw that first stone when you're not in trouble and you don't have to make a real tough shot.
Hurry. Good.
Looks like they're just throwing nice controlled hit weight, not overthrowing it. As everybody says, the ice just looks gorgeous here at the Leduc Curling Club. Hats go off to Barry and Daryl Nee, the ice makers here in Leduc.
Well, of course, ice maker, without good ice maker, you don't have good ice, and I'm sure that they've worked hard to make this ice as best they can, and you can see the little bit we've seen so far. Boy, it's putting anywhere on the ice. You take about 6 inches of ice and throw an ice weight at it, and it hit on the nose. They haven't rolled on one of them yet.
And Jerry, another update with our matchup on sheet 2.
Yes, it was Stacy Coomer taking one on the first end. He hit and stayed on his last rock. He was trying to blank the end against David Stewart of Northern Alberta Curling Association, so it's 1-0.
And this is Doran Johnson, and you're going to get used to seeing this throughout the telecast. He does that in every shot, wiggles back and forth until he gets comfortable. Until he gets comfortable, he isn't throwing it.
And he throws with the wrong hand, it looks like. He's a left-hander, and a good one. Him and Gord Trenchy should get together. Gordy's one of the better left-handers around, and well, might not stay with this one, although Kevin was saying that the ice doesn't roll lots if you hit part of the rock right.
Doran threw that pretty firm, though. I think it was definitely more weight than the other players were throwing. So Kevin gets to find his draw weight right off the bat. He probably just wants to throw it just top 4 foot, and he's probably hoping Doran will hit and stick here. On coin tosses, remember when Ryan Express was going strong there in the late 80s, and that was a big key for them, was if they won the toss, you were dead, because they would just run you out of rocks. Is it as key now as it is when you have a team that's a little more flexible, that can play the come-around game? And
well, it would be nice to win the toss for sure. To get that first point or first 2 points or blank the end, you haven't got the control when you haven't got last rock. And
a little heavy, eh?
With the ice that's curling so well, there's not going to be too many mistakes by either team. So the flip is pretty important. But Kevin's a very veteran for the age he's in, and he knows exactly what he's going to have to do if he gets down 1 or more points or gets up points. So
I would think the thing on the coin toss, though, now that they have gone to a round robin format, my feelings would be that they should do it like they do at the Canadian Championships, where they assign hammers. You know exactly how many games the teams are having, so if it's an 8-team round robin, 4 of the teams, 4 of your games, you should be guaranteed the hammer, and 4 you shouldn't be. And I think that's something that maybe the Alberta Curling Federation should take a look at.
Well, I know I was talking to Kevin about that about 4 or 5 days ago, and he didn't know how they were doing it, but I thought maybe they would do that, because you would get red handles on one and blue and yellow on the other on 3 of your or 7 of your games. So that's something they might have overlooked, or maybe had input from teams saying no, they have to flip. So they do it in the Brier because they do play 11 games. And
this is exactly what Doran didn't want to happen.
Well, you got to get the rock first, and unfortunately, if he could have reversed his shots and threw his first one last, he'd have been blank in. Now he's going to be fighting Kevin, and not sure what Kevin's going to try to do to get more than 1 point, because he's got to get 2 points to be ahead of him.
After the first end of play, Doran Johnson of Lethbridge took one in the first end, so he's leading 1-0 over the defending Canadian champion Kevin Martin. And I think Kevin's going to probably, if I know him, he's going to go after it, maybe feel Doran out as well.
Well, I don't think there'll be any crazy gambling yet. He might do something just to get even with Kevin or with Doran, and maybe put a corner guard up. But you normally don't do that early in the game, because you don't know if Doran's going to take that corner guard off or guard the one that's if this one comes into the 4 foot.
And it looks like the lead, Terry Hamilton for Doran Johnson. Doran just asked him to bring it into the top of the house, and
that's good. Nice shot, Terry.
He's got nice control of draw weight. Let's go down to ice level now to Jerry Wilson.
Well, thank you, Jackie, and I'm sitting in the stands, and sitting with me is Don Longmore, an old friend of yours, Hector. He tells me Your daughter cuts his hair. Don, last provincial playdowns you were in was 1986. I was there. There was Kurt Balderson from Mike Vavrick was there. What are your thoughts on this event, and who are you picking?
Well, I'd like to see Robbie Armitage play second for me in Red Deer, steady in the Super League, so I kind of sentimentally like to see him take it.
That's good. And you're still curling, Don?
Still doing the same thing, yeah. You're curling in the seniors right now, though.
Hey, don't forget to tell him, Jerry, he's got a nice haircut.
Well, Hector just wanted to tell you, Don, that you have a nice haircut.
Thanks, Hector.
Thanks for joining us, Don.
Thanks very much,
Back
Jerry.
up to you, Jack.
Kim Gervais, which is Hector's youngest daughter, she lives in the Red Deer area, and
She's a hairdresser, and I got her and him and Roy Talbot and quite a few of the curlers go over there to get their hair done. So he had to say he was going there just to make me good.
And wouldn't you know it, you have a daughter that cuts hair and you don't have any. Oh no, that's Jerry.
You're old.
Yeah, I got more hair than Jerry.
Yeah,
Gee whiz.
I'm sorry. Good point.
Right there.
All right, guys.
We're in the second end here. We're live from the Leduc Curling Club. It's the Labatt's Alberta Tankard, and I'm Jackie Ray Greening along with Hector Gervais and Jerry Wilson down at ice level. This is Don Bartland, the lead for Kevin Martin, and as discussed, Kevin's asking Don to throw up a corner guard.
Well, he needs 2 points to get ahead, and so far, Doran Johnson went after the corner guard. Don Bartlett threw his first one on the other side. He's coming on this side, and it'll be interesting to see if Doran Johnson keeps hitting that front one. And, you know, he could clamp a guard on there and make it a little tough for Kevin to, at the end when he needs it, because Kevin would have to take it off. He's thinking about it right now, in fact.
I think you're right.
Like this, Rob.
I think you knew Doran was going to do that sooner or later. He was probably wishing that his lead, Terry Hamilton, had put that rock top 4-foot instead of top 8-foot. But still, he's going to go and put some pressure on Kevin right off the bat.
Well, you know, Kevin was getting even with him. He put a corner guard too, but Kevin kept hitting it, and Doran maybe wanted that. He says maybe he'll do the same thing.
Line's good.
And we can get, you know, if he steals a
Gotta
point
move a
here,
little.
it isn't
Right.
in the 4-foot, but you still have to make your draw at the end. And if he puts a good guard in this, Kevin has to go for it, and that's going to change the
right
way
off
he's
the
thinking.
break.
Exactly. This one doesn't seem to be moving, but it's making its move at the end here.
Yep.
Rob Armitage, the second for Doran Johnson, puts on a perfect cap.
Well, Kevin, the only shot Kevin has now, he's got to take that out of there. And, you know, a guard is not the easiest shot in the world. There's, you know, 3 more guards or 4 more guards would have to be put on that. And if it happens to be a slip up somewhere, Kevin could get lucky and get a roll behind it. So, and, you know, even on this one, he could hit it and make the double. So he has to go for it. And the worst could happen is they keep putting guards, and he'd have to outdraw that one at the end for his 1 point.
Dan Petrick, second for Kevin Martin. Kevin just asking Dan to peel that top stone, and what Doran is basically saying is, hey, I don't mind forcing you to win this end and tie it up, then I'm back in the driver's seat with the brick.
Well, you know, Doran is a very sharp, you know, his hobbies are golf and poker, and he's supposed to be a very good poker player, and it's pretty tough playing against somebody that's that you can't tell how their nerves are going to be. And Doran right now is both ends has had Kevin coming to him, and you can't play a game having to go to the other person. You should be playing your game, and
Real good line.
you know, Kevin, you know, is going to have to watch out here. This guy's no.
Exactly, and
Kevin
Kevin wants to play his game. It's you go in with a certain game plan. You want to stick to your game plan, and right now, unfortunately, for Kevin, it's working in Doran's favor.
Well, he might be able to see a little bit of this one, but he's going to go for that front one again.
What can you see of it, Daniel?
If we listen here at ice level, he's asking Dan how much he can see of it.
Feel weight. Stuff the nose.
It's great. We have both Kevin and Doran mic'd, and as I said earlier, whenever we can, we'll listen to their discussions on the ice. He did ask, as I said, Dan, how much he could see of it, and Dan only replied a third. So.
Person Dan from Smoky Lake, Alberta. He was born in Edmonton, but he's going to university.
A great
Beautiful
shot.
Yeah. Well, Dan, you know, had played exceptionally well last year in the Brier and the World. In fact, in the World, he was just flawless. He played so well through the whole World Championships, and you know, Kevin's got a good man there, and you know, it does give Doran a chance to come around it, but at least he, you know, he's got rid of them that stone.
That's the one thing I was going to make, is that it is great to peel that stone out of there, but what Doran could maybe do here is put a bit of rock in, make it the top 4 foot instead of just the top 8 foot.
Yeah, and actually Doran Johnson's playing his game. You know, he's got his own game plan, and it's working. And you know, Kevin's been in a little trouble all through this end, and maybe he went too soon to put that corner guard. You know, and play a few more ends yet and see what happens. You know, these guys that he's playing is not a proven team. Doran himself is, and you know, they might miss enough that you might not have to do all this gambling.
Right back.
Oh, and he did put it better. He's in full 4 foot right now, and
Shot.
pretty well buried.
What's interesting on that shot, though, it finished big, but it got by that center guard by a good foot. But it just came in and finished there because he had that nice finishing weight. Corey Perrin is the third for Doran Johnson. A great play stone.
Well, you know, I keep saying I talked to Kevin, but he comes over to the club to practice, and he was saying that, you know, you can really bury it, finishes right at the end, but if you throw another 5 feet of weight or 10 feet of weight on it, it won't do anything. So he could try to come around and follow up and push it out, but he's a little bit scared that it might stay there, and then he'd
Very
really be
weight
in trouble.
sensitive, is it? Very weight sensitive?
That's what he was saying, yes.
Yeah.
Now he wants to hit a straight-on hit would be a nice shot, and hit it straight back onto the Yellowstone.
Off.
Kevin Park.
Stay close. Oh. Hey. Whoa.
Oh, beauty.
A great shot. And he rolls behind the corner guard.
Well, that's what you need, a third that can make them kind of shots, and you don't have to play them yourself. And,
That's right.
You know, I don't think Doran can hit this one. I don't know if he can see enough of it to hit it anyway.
Doesn't look like he can behind the corner guard. He's taking it.
Shift this. Go here.
He sees that hole there, and he says, just hit this and roll over. You know, it's as if it was easy to do.
Exactly, yeah. Jerry, I guess we have a couple of more updates to bring our viewers. I guess Jerry's nodding off, and we pay him the big bucks too, Hector.
Yeah,
Can you believe it?
I'm going to watch that guy again.
Yeah.
He better stick out there.
That's right. And he has a Budweiser in his hand.
That's a jacket, though. Budweiser jacket.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Updates on our other games. Sheet 4.
Well, thank you, Jackie. I'm out here.
Oh,
believe
you
me.
are.
I'm out here. Don Walchuk and Brian Costain. Donnie Walchuk blanked the second end. Still no score in that game as they're just playing hit, and feeling each other out. Nobody's taking any chances so far. In the Frank Morissette game and Mike Vavrick, it was Mike Vavrick hitting the stain on his last shot to count 1. So it's 1-0 for Mike Vavrick over Frank Morissette.
As long as we don't leave it half open.
And an update, you maybe missed that. You were looking at the other sheets there, Jerry. Sheet 2, the hometown favorite of David Stewart had a free draw for 2 to go up 2-1 on Stacy Cumber of Grand Prairie, and he came up short, so only got 1. So that's all tied up. And a big shot, as you were just watching there, the third for Doran Johnson. Corey Perrin got a little either wide or heavy. He just rubbed that center guard. So now in Kevin Park, third for Kevin Martin, is just going to try to come around that center guard, and if he makes this, Hector, Kevin Martin's got 2 behind cover.
Well, it was all set up by that great raised takeout that Kevin Park made with his first one, and he's got to get by on this one and get in the second shot, and it could make it very tough. Doran couldn't freeze that one in the house and be shot, and this one's going to be nice if he's not too heavy. It buries so well at the end. He's a little bit heavy.
Yeah, right
on
to the
it.
back 12. Back 12.
And Kevin wants it in the back, so that if they do freeze to it, he'll still be shot rock in the one that's partially buried.
That was good calling by Kevin. The front end was a little tentative to sweep there because they thought, I think maybe, no, we don't want to sweep it. It might be through, but it was a good call because exactly as you say, he didn't want to give Doran the chance to freeze to it.
An interesting call here, Jackie. He's going to try and freeze to that one that's in the 8 foot in front of the tee line, and now, surprisingly, because he could come back to this back one and take it out, and you know, hopefully only give up 2 this end. But he doesn't want to give up 2. He wants to try and save the end and force Kevin to take one. And boy, he's playing one of the toughest shots there is a freeze, and it's not only a freeze, but he can't freeze dead onto it. It wouldn't be shot. He's got to freeze about third onto it to be shot rock. So it's very tough.
And listen, there to Doran, he's just talking to his.
I can get there with 13. We get 1266 on his.
what he's discussing there with his front end was the weight to throw, seconds timing from hog line to hog line, and what Doran was indicating to his front end, what do you think I should throw? And they decided about a 12.5 to a 13, so fairly keen, nice ice.
Yes, for a good ice. Oh, he better hurry on this one. He might not even get close to getting in the house. I think his watch was a little bad there when he was timing. He's on the, might be on the front one. If not, he'll be all right, but I think he's going to...
He's on the front one.
He had pretty nice weight, actually.
He would have been...
Very close. He might have cut out the back one if he'd got further. Now Kevin is really sitting great. A chance for, 2 or 3.
And what looked like he's going to try to do, just come around the intern on that center guard behind Doran Johnson's stone that he just threw, just try to put it up top there, and it looked all in, but Kevin Martin was in trouble. A great shot by his third, Kevin Park, and totally turns the whole end around.
Well, the only little bit of consolation that Doran Johnson did is he did open it up a little bit more when he rubbed that guard, and he's going to be able to hit at this one quietly and maybe get a roll in, because if Kevin makes this one just right, he's not going to have much else. Kevin better not come in too far either, because if he comes in full forfeit, Doran is going to try and freeze to it, and he might hold him to one that way.
This is Kevin Martin's first stone of the second end. He's currently lying 2 behind cover.
Off it if you want.
He's got lots of room around the guard.
It's not coming like he thought it would.
Oh.
Well, he's laying 3, but it's going to give Doran Johnson a chance to hit and roll in exactly what he's going to try to do there, and he hasn't got much else he can do.
Whack that one, but I think we got to play it.
This is Doran Johnson's final stone of the second end. He is looking at 3 Kevin Martin stones. You got a good look there at what he is facing. It looks like it's totally open, Hector.
Well, it is. He did open up. I was surprised that Kevin didn't come around on the outturn side, around them 2, and then if he was sitting exactly where he was now, right now, if Doran gets a hit and roll, he's got to try and raise the one he just finished throwing on, so it might come back to hurt him having played the shot he did.
Doran's talking to his front end again.
Straight out here. I guess I got to believe it, eh? Just throw wall weight. You like that? Yeah, solid wall, eh?
Discussing the weight with his front end and solid walls, so obviously he's throwing firm backboard is I guess what I would take that as being, and this is a big shot for Doran Johnson.
Well, he can't afford to roll out. He's not hollering too loud at it. They're just sweeping her hard. Boy, oh boy, I don't know if he's going to get the roll off of it or not. He might even knock on the guard again.
He racked. That is he didn't even scream when he first let it go, which is interesting. It just must have really went on him.
Well, he must have turned maybe, Jerry, because he didn't holler once.
We can listen to...
picked up something, because he was sitting in the hack saying, we just got to believe the ice here. It's going to run straight, and all of a sudden it was gone.
Well, what a way to get back in a game at 4. How many times do you see a 4-ender scored against somebody like Doran Johnson, and everything went wrong for him from the Kevin Park's first stone when he made a dead-on raise, and everything went bad after that for Doran Johnson and his team, and boy, what an easy way to get a 4-ender, 2 free draws. And,
I think what Doran was talking about when he was in the hack, because when his third, Corey Perrin, rubbed that guard and gave Martin the chance to draw for his 2, it really seemed to float when it hit that, it hit almost the center guard. And that's what he was saying, where I guess I better believe it straight.
Well, that's right, yeah. His third did rack on the front guard and staying there too long, and it was in his mind too much, and he kept thinking it was going to stay straight.
Yeah. There it is. Kevin Martin makes it after 2 ends of play in our feature game. The defending Canadian champion, Kevin Martin foursome, leads Doran Johnson's Lethbridge team by a score of 4-1. And we are at the Leduc Curling Club live for the Labatt Alberta Tankard. We'll be back right after this commercial break.
Is the sign of a winning strategy in today's real estate market. Be a winner. Go for the gold. Call Lauren Costain at 986-2100 for service on all your real estate needs. Labatt Breweries of Canada have been the proud sponsors of the Labatt Tankard since 1980. Since that time, we have witnessed some of the finest curling in the world, from Victoria, BC to St. John's, Newfoundland. Please accept our invitation to join us at the Leduc Curling Club from January 29th to February 3rd, 1992, to be a part of the Labatt Alberta Provincial Tankard Championships. Jerry Wilson would like to welcome all participants and viewers to the Alberta Labatt Tankard and would like to wish the winner lots of success in the upcoming Brier. Jerry has been a member of the Edmonton Real Estate Board since 1974 and is also a member of the MLS $1 Million Club. For effective, customer-friendly real estate results, call Jerry Wilson at 464-4060.
Welcome back to the Leduc Curling Club. It is the 1992 Provincial Men's Curling Championships. We are live. I'm Jackie Ray Greening, along with Hector Gervais. Down at ice level, we have Jerry Wilson, and an incredible end unfolded. That's curling for you, where Doran Johnson had Kevin Martin on the run for half the end, and then suddenly, before you blinked your eye, Kevin Martin comes away with a big four-ender.
Yes, that doesn't happen very often, and I was downstairs when they flipped to see who was going to for the hammer, and Kevin Park called it wrong, and Doran Johnson got it, and I could see they're looking at each other saying, what do you think about it? Does it matter that much? And I said, well, no, it shouldn't bother you that much because you got 9 ends. You got half the time you got last rock. But who would have thought that maybe the gambler gambled a little too much?
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly what happened. He had the opportunity to hit at one point, but ignored it and played the freeze. And as a result, it backfired on him.
Well, his first stone, Doran could have came down and hit the open one.
Let's come at it.
Maybe he wish he did now. He missed both his shots, racked on the same guard twice, and gave 2 free draws for Kevin. And it's going to be an interesting from now on because Kevin's got such a good hitting team. Kevin didn't throw it through. It's so early in the game, but Don Bartlett did put it in the back 4-foot, and
that's an interesting call. I thought Kevin Martin of a couple of years ago, I think, would have thrown it through there in the third end, being up 3 going into the third.
Well, I know even last year he hit lots, and with such a good hitting team as his, why give the other guy a chance? I know if I'm down 3 points, I want guards or rocks in play for me to have a chance to get back, and I guess they're playing a beautiful shot here, just putting their perfect freeze.
That's a great stone, and that was Don Bartlett didn't want, of course, to be behind the tee line, and exactly what happened there. There is a little space there. You can see a great aerial shot, courtesy of the great gang at Shaw Cable, a camera right over the house, and you can see there is room for them to peel all the stones out.
Well, Don Bartlett can fix this up, or Dan Petrick, if he hits it about a quarter on, he can clear everything and have nothing in play and let Doran go to his corner guards. That's exactly what he's going to do.
Great shot, yep. And I think that's Kevin likes that better than picking it out and leaving his stone there in the back, because as you say, that's exactly what Doran wants.
I was a little bit surprised that Doran went for the freeze right off the bat. Like, why not play a couple more corner guards or even put one out directly in front of the house and hope they hit it straight on? And because even if he did get lucky and that one that he froze stayed in, you got to make about another 6 rocks in a row to get 2 points. So, Doran's not out of this 4-1. He's 3 down right now. If he can muster up a 2 somewhere here, he's right back in the game, even getting his 1. And it's a long game yet.
That is second Rob Armitage. He is the second man for Doran Johnson. He's a farmer in the Red Deer area. He's been curling for 22 years.
Yeah, Rob.
And in fact, Don Longmore, that was on Jerry Wilson as a guest a little earlier in this game. Rob curled for Don in the '86 provincials when they came in third that year.
Well, Don Longmore, one of the good Longmore curlers. There's 3 brothers and all pretty good curlers, and Don represented the South in '86, and he did it a few years back before that too. He was in the provincials, and very tough curler, and I'm sure he wished he'd had Armitage playing with him this year, because obviously Don's not here.
That's true. Though I think Don did say he was in seniors, so I don't think Rob is quite there yet. He's a few years away.
I thought Don Longmore was at least as old as me, but he's
Go
only
inside, Rob.
just barely 50.
Just barely.
Go
Him
the other
and
side.
Talbot should get together. They're both seniors and both very competitive curlers.
We are on the third end here. The gentleman we are discussing, Rob Armitage, throwing his second stone here in the third end. Kevin Martin leading by a score of 4-1. And
Line's fine.
Doran's calling up the corner guards.
Well, there's not the only offense you can do when you have lost rock and you're down 3 points is you got to get a corner guard started. Hopefully get a miss or hit on the nose and then try to get 2 points back.
And definitely, like you say, all he needs a 2, and he's only down 1. So, and as we saw in that last end, it only takes one miss or one great shot to really turn an end around.
And there's another 8 ends in this game if everything goes right, and it's very tough for a good team to peel for 8 ends. So, it's going to be a long process for Kevin to keep pounding and trying to roll off. If Doran, I know, would have lots of patience, he'd keep doing it until he gets his 2 back, and that's all you can do in this game is try to get 2 points when you have last rock or more.
Down.
I don't think he'll ever get a chance to get more than a couple against a guy like Kevin anyway.
Third, Kevin Park asked to peel. He didn't roll all the way out, but I don't think that rock will come into play, though knowing Doran, he will try to utilize it in some way, either throwing another rock in that area and hoping for a break.
Kevin Park, 27-year-old, born in Heights, Alberta, and then did his curling, quite a family of curlers. 4 boys, all great curlers. Kevin was in the provincials in 1991. In the Brier, did very well in that. He was in the juniors in 1983 and 84. He skipped 1 year, played third for his brother Scott the next year, and they didn't win the Canadian juniors, but very good showing in it. His hobbies are golf, hockey, and swimming, and of course that's all sports.
Yeah, you bet. And the year's third for Doran Johnson is Corey Perrin, and as suspected, Doran's going to try to play towards that Kevin Martinstone, which is still in play, and looking for a break from third Kevin Park. Corey Perrin has been in the Canadians before. That was the Canadian juniors when he was shooting for Murray Folkerth from down south.
Well, bringing you up to date on the other sheets, Jackie and Hector. On sheet 4, Don Walchuk, Brian Costain. Donnie went around a corner guard. Trenchy came a little deep. Brian Costain made a perfect freeze. Donnie followed him down with a freeze, and Brian Costain made another perfect freeze. And Donnie slid a little heavy with his last one and went by, so it's a big steal of 1 for Brian Costain, and something that Doran Johnson said at the start of the show, that this Brian Costain's been shooting very well, and he made 2 perfect freezes that end. In the other game, Michael Vavrick,
once more, Carr.
it was a blank end as Frank Morissette hit and rolled out with his last shot, and so the score there is 1-0 Mike Vavrick over Frank Morissette.
Now, the other game we're keeping you up to date on is the hometown favorites, the David Stewart team, having a little problem there. They missed the free draw for 2 in the second end, and Stacy Cumber of Grand Prairie came back and picked up a deuce. So Cumber is leading Stewart by a score of 3-1, and they are into the 4th end right now. Back to our feature game on third stones. Third for Doran Johnson, Corey Perrin from Medicine Hat, and Doran still trying to get the play over.
Yeah, then come on, let's go tighter.
Towards the Martinstone.
Come on, hurry, right up then, right up.
Well, I think what he's trying to do is get it even across from that red one. And if they do hit it the wrong side, it might hit the red and stay in play. And now, of course, Kevin's not even going to try and hit it anymore. He might as well go to the other side and play it in the open. And if he can draw close to the 4-foot, that guard that's there is not going to help him at all anyway. So it's a good, smart idea for Kevin to just leave it alone. And
because I would have expected both. I would have had more ice for both rocks except for the 5 rounds straight. You know what I mean?
He's still thinking about the last end, and boy, you can't start thinking about ends as pass. You better get going on this from now on. And
I think he was maybe, while he was saying what we had discussed earlier this end, that 5 ran so straight, and that's what threw him. And he was still thinking about his thirds rock that racked, and
well, he played such a tough shot with his first one. He's trying to freeze to one that even if he froze perfect, wouldn't be shot rock. He'd have to freeze about a quarter onto it to be shot. And of course, he had no choice with his last one. He had to try and hit, and unfortunately, he hit the same exact guard that hurt him both times. He just kicked the first one.
And I don't think Kevin wanted to be behind the tee line on this.
Do this. You like this? We're gonna get that out. We gotta do this, Robbie. I like that.
Well, he's playing a shot that's not going to help him much. Even if he buries perfect, Kevin's going to be shot. All Kevin has to do is draw out of the intern side and be laying 2 and
forces him to 1.
Yeah, if I was him, I'd play the freeze, and then if he does peel everything out, you can throw through. And
if you bury half rock, you never know when.
I don't think he can be shot rock and be buried.
No, he can't. He's discussing with his front end now. Let's see if he usually.
A little left.
I think his front end wanted him to play the freeze, but he wanted to go around this guard, hoping Kevin will miss his next shot and give him a chance for 2 and get back in the game.
And he just said there as he was cleaning his rock, see if we can get a couple there. Here.
First team in that corner, you think?
Well, it's going to be interesting because if he puts it perfect, it forces Kevin to draw. And if it's open, of course, Kevin will throw at it. So if he puts a perfect stone, what he wants here is not going to help him much unless Kevin misses the shot completely.
Ball.
His front end not touching it at all. Lots of room around that corner guard.
Deep. Got to be real deep.
It's going to be deep, all right.
Exactly. And it looks like, from our vantage point, that Kevin can see about half of it. As you can see, he's putting his broom down there from our overhead camera. A good shot. He's going to go for it, and oh, he can see almost all of it.
He wasn't even close, about a foot or over a foot away from that guard, and they had played about 5 or 6 guards down there, so his rock either didn't come or he put it out a little bit. So,
probably the weight was a factor, too, because I think he was about 6 feet heavier than he wanted to be, so probably with a little better draw weight, it would have came more as well.
Well, I thought it was kind of a tough shot to start with, but it's going to make it easy, especially if Kevin hits and stays here. Doran's going to have to take his one, and that's exactly what Kevin would like, is let him have his one,
you
and
bet.
We got lost rock again.
He dearly wants to hit and stick on this one. As you can see, his sweepers aren't touching it at all. Just keeping it clean now.
Well, a perfect shot.
Hits and rolls a bit, and definitely not what Doran wanted to do. He's being forced to take one this end, and I think that's definitely why he should have froze to Kevin Martin's on his first one.
Well, it's going to make the game will be on. If he gets his one here, he's going to be playing front guards for the rest of this game, trying to get back in it. And it's pretty tough to get back against a good team like Kevin Martin, but you know, things happen. Look at in the final.
Probably, eh? That last speed.
Final of the Super League game, Don Walchuk got 5 coming home against Randy Furby. So who'd ever thought that would happen?
That's true. And Doran once again getting comfortable in the hack. It's a ritual he does every time he gets in the hack. Make sure he's comfortable, and he's definitely got to make this one if he wants to stay close to Martin in this game.
Oh boy, for sure. He does have a little backing, but you can't really be playing backing on this.
Wall, let it break.
I think he's just about perfect. He might be a little heavy, but he's got that rock to come to the back of the foot.
It's a great shot, and he draws right to the backstone of Kevin Martin. So after 3 ends of play here at the Labatt Alberta Tankard, Kevin Martin is leading Doran Johnson of Lethbridge by a score of 4-2. But more importantly, probably Kevin Martin now has the brick and seems right now to be in total control of this first game of the 8-team round robin.
And, you know, when you're in control and you have last rock, the other guy has to do all the gambling, and that sometimes can really backfire. So, you know, with a little break here and there, Kevin could even pick up more points because Doran has to gamble. He can't fool around and wait too long. He's got to try and count every end. He's got to try and count steal when he hasn't got last rock and count when he has last rock. So, it's not a good position to be in, especially so early in the game.
Uphill battle all the way for them as lead Terry Hamilton of Lethbridge throws his first stone here in the 4th end. The game on sheet 2, which is between Leduc's David Stewart and Stacey Cumber, is happening. And I think the telltale statistics after 3 ends of play, David Stewart is only shooting 58%, and Stacey Cumber, the skip of the Grand Prairie team, is shooting 75%, and that's probably why Cumber is leading Stewart by a score of 3-2 after 3 ends of play. And you have the statistics now for our feature game here, Hector.
Well, there's a 100% player here. In fact, there's three of them playing 100%. Terry Hamilton is at 100% for the Doran Johnson team. Rob Armitage at 96, a blistering 96. Corey Perrin is at 75, but a dismal 33% for Doran Johnson. And unfortunately, it could be done the other way with the lead having 33, and maybe you having 100, you'd have a chance, but that's not a good percentage for him. And then, of course, Don Bartlett at 100%. Dan Petrick at 100%, 88 for Kevin Park, and Kevin Martin at a sizzling 92% for a 98% average against 76. And,
not a bad team average, 98%. That's probably why they're leading 4-2 right now.
Well, you know, when the other skip missed, he's missed 3 shots in a row for the first 3 shots in the second end, both of them, and the first one in third and
shot, Terry.
ones that hurt him. You can miss one when you have last rock and make up for it the second time, but he missed two bad ones in the second end and gave Kevin a pretty easy shot for 4. And of course, Kevin right now is quite happy to be 2 up and doesn't care if he's up any more than that, as long as the other team doesn't count.
Here's the lead, Don Bartlett for Kevin Martin.
Off.
Asking for the in-turn peel from Don, and no problem at all there. It keeps his 100% average right on perfect here after 4 ends of play. Doran's just going to keep trying to throw up a center guard here and just hope dearly for a nose or a miss, and he's definitely has his work cut out for him. As
Don Bartlett, Don Brian Bartlett is his name, and he's 31 years old. He was born in Gander, Newfoundland, of all places, and came about as far as you can west from there, and he's a postal clerk, and we have a postal bunch crew at our club, but I haven't seen him there. First time last year in provincials, first time in the Brier, so and they won a lot of money together this year, that team, close to $60,000 in cash spiels, and the nice thing about it, they didn't have to pay anything to get there. They traveled there by the Curling Association, Labatt's and Pepsi paid a lot of it, and it'd be nice to go to all these spiels with not having to put anything out of your pocket and keep the money that you win.
And we are now going to switch from our feature game just for a couple of seconds here. We're going to go over to sheet 3, which has Frank Morissette of Calgary taking on Michael Vavrick of Grand Prairie. The score right now is 1-0. They're in the...
They're playing the 4th end now, but in the 4th end, it was a free throw through for Frank Morissette, as he made a good freeze on his first one, and Mike Vavrick peeled them all out of there, and Frank just threw it through to blank the hens. So it's still 1-0. Mike Vavrick over Frank Morissette after 4 ends of curling.
And percentages are very good in that game. An 83% average, 83% for Frank Morissette, 92 for his third man, Dan Lyon, 79 for Gary Jensen, and Rosie Chuck is at 75%. 90% average for Michael Vavrick team. So boy, if they were playing Martin right now, it'd be pretty dull. Nobody missed nothing.
Exactly. That once again is after 4 ends of play.
And on sheet number 4, Don Walchuk threw his last rock, peeled it out of there for a blank in. It's 1-0 for Brian Costain over Don Walchuk.
Very interesting games. You know, Don did have last rock and gave up a steal at 1 on the 3rd end, and after blanking the first 2, and you know, it's such beautiful ice to play on. It looks like you can come around, you can peel off the front, you can do anything but except what Doran Johnson did in the second end, and turn it in a little bit and rub the same guard to give 2 free draws for Kevin Martin to get up big 4 on that second end.
Dan Petrick being asked to peel that center guard out by Doran Johnson, and he does as he's told. And the Leduc Curling Club, with all the great compliments the ice is getting, definitely they are no stranger to hosting major curling championships. In fact, just last year, they hosted the 1991 Canadian Junior Women's and Men's Championships and put on just a fabulous show. I know I took in quite a bit of it, and a great club to host such an event.
And I threw the first rock in that, Jackie.
And where did you draw to the button like Wes Montgomery?
I was right on the tee line, but Gil gave me not as good ice as he gave Wes. I was over biting the edge of the 4-foot on the tee line. So if he'd gave me the proper ice, I'm sure I'd have been on the button.
Definitely Gil's fault. If Wes Montgomery can do it, anybody can do it.
That's the only draw I've seen him all year, and I see him every Wednesday over at the club.
He's just getting tuned up for the provincials. He just forgot all the other steps to get here, that's all.
Well, it's kind of a boring game for Kevin, but boy, when you're playing in the provincials and you're 2 up and you got last rock, you better not leave any of the opposition stones around, and he'd be crazy to do anything else in this game. And
Kevin Park, 3rd for Martin, being asked to field a stone, and you're exactly right.
This is going to be close to... Oh, he's got a dandy.
He just felt like screaming there.
Yeah. Don't scare us that way. You know, it's got to be an advantage for this team. They played together lots last year, and then again this year, and actually kind of by accident they got a hold of Don Bartlett. Don came to after skipping for quite a few years. He did play for Pat Ryan, front end for a while, and then he skipped his own, and he came and asked him. He said, "I'd like to play leads for you if you need somebody," and you know, that was exactly what they needed on that team. He has played very well at lead, and he's happy playing there. And in fact, they got all 4 people that are like the positions they're in.
And that's what Don Bartlett said, is that what his goal is every game, and how he keeps himself interested playing lead after playing skip for so many years, is he says, I try to, and my goal is to curl 100% every game, which he is right now after 4 ends of play, and he has to set goals for himself to keep himself interested, and he does.
He's a bit of a team motivator, too. I know when he went as 5th man to the Brier with Pat Ryan, Pat said that Donnie helped them a lot. He got the team up, he scouted the other team out. He's always positive and always ready to play. There's not too many individuals that like the game more than Donnie Bartlett.
And there was a crime that Pat Ryan didn't win that one. That was 1985 in Moncton, BC, and I was down watching it, and oh boy, they never lost a game till the final game, and they were 2 up coming home, and they lost that game. Guy made an unbelievable shot to tie it.
Al Hackner, right?
Al Hackner from Northern Ontario, and then on the extra end, Pat Ryan was about a half an inch heavy on a draw. He had to bite the 4-foot, and he was just a little bit heavy in the back 4-foot and lost the Brier, and it hurt me to watch it because they played so well and deserved it that year, and Al Hackner came from kind of nowhere to come up and win that.
Yeah, really. Oh, well.
Doran Johnson's first rock here at the 4th end.
Yeah, it might be better, eh? I don't know if it's any tougher out there, though. It's quick, eh? I'm getting real quick times down here. 15s. Okay.
I think you better throw that watch away. He hasn't did that well with it so far. He missed a draw on the 2nd end. He was heavy on the draw on the 3rd end, but he's got to come in now because if he leaves it out there...
He was mentioning, he says, I just want this tight to the rings. He was saying to his front end that...
Real closer in.
Yeah, real closer in is what he said.
Or anything long.
When he's talking about 15 seconds, that's getting fast. That's from hog to hog.
That's good.
I think in the 2nd end, when he had that rock down there, he was mentioning about 12 and a half.
Yep.
So the ice may be getting faster.
Oh, Kevin's going to come around this one, I'll guarantee you. There's no reason not to. You can't split it. No,
he's feeling it. He's being conservative.
I'm surprised at that.
Got a bang, doesn't he?
Well, it's actually his first stone. That's the reason, yeah.
Well, his last stone, I would hope he would blank it, but...
he wouldn't have to come around with his last one. He'd just throw it through.
But he's up 2. He's got the hammer. He's got control of the game.
It's
and,
gamble.
Yeah.
He's playing exactly what you should. You got to play percentages in this game, and the percentage is to... Something could go wrong. He could happen to be a little heavy, come to the back of the button, and Doran frees to him, so he's playing the right shot here. I was half asleep here and figuring that he didn't have last rock, but he, of course, does.
You just lost your mind temporarily.
Well, Helen mentioned it a little more than temporary, but I'm still bluffing her. In fact, today is our 38th anniversary.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. Imagine what we're doing, watching curling. In fact, out of 38 years, I'd say the 35 years out of the 38, we were in the curling rink. I was either curling or watching curling.
So did you buy her a nice burger for dinner, or?
Well, I was gonna, but she just ate when I got home, so I saved that. I did bring her to the curling rink, though. She's watching this game with us.
Oh, that's good. Well, it's her big night out in the town.
Actually, you're supposed to give her a proper seat next to you. She's down in the lower gallery sitting down there, but I see she's with some friends.
I was kind of relieved. I was going through all the gift things for different years, and there wasn't one thing said for 38 years of them, so I didn't even have to buy a gift.
This is Doran Johnson's last rock here in the 4th end. He's just trying to put it into the rings here and make Martin shoot for it. And his front end's really brushing hard on this one.
He's got it, but
one of yours that didn't move there.
Kevin's going to try and, of course, hit and roll out. And if not, if he even hits on the nose, he's going to be 3 up. So Kevin is a good hitter. He's good at anything. You don't win a Brier not being good at something, but he can. He's a very good hitter and does practice lots of hitting.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're doing that, that means you think you're going to be up lots. If you wouldn't be practicing your hitting. So he would like dearly to roll out in this one, if he could.
Kevin Martin's final stone of the fourth end. Just keeping it clean, Dan Petrick, and peels it out of there, blanks the fourth end, exactly what he wanted to do. So after 4 ends of play, Kevin Martin is leading Doran Johnson of Lethbridge by a score of 4-2. I'm Jackie Ray Greening, along with Hector Gervais and Jerry Wilson down at ice level. This is the first game of the 8-team round robin here at the Labatt's Alberta Tankard. A brand new format. Every team will play each other once in this 8-team round robin format. They'll go to a semifinal game with the top 3 teams, and the person who finishes atop of the standings goes into the final. It is a sudden death final, which will be played here in Leduc this Sunday afternoon.
And you know, before this format, they did have a 3 event. You were always in contention some way or another if you were in it, and it's going to notice the team that wins 3 straight games will be kind of wishing it was the old format, because you'd have won the A section and somebody would have to beat you twice at the end unless somebody else won the B and C. So
Doran Johnson did bring up a good point in his pregame interview with Jerry when he said it's exactly the format of the Canadians. You have to play a round-robin format, and then you go into a semi and a final. So if you look at it from another point of view where you say, well, it's the same format that we would have to do to win a Canadian championship, might as well get used to it at this level, that's a valid point.
Well, we haven't proven it was wrong yet, except that we've had such a success since we had the other formats in '77 till now. We've had 5 Canadian champions come out of Alberta and win the Canadian, and no other province can say that in 12 years, and better than that in the last 4 years, 3 Canadian champions. So that's the argument of the fellow that's been there, which is Kevin Martin, and he was saying that you could be playing somebody with 3 or 4 losses at the end, and they could beat you in a sudden death, and it's just something you have to get used to. It's going to be great for fans, great for TV viewers. The only thing that's kind of against it is that if you've lost 4 or 5 games and you're not going well, it'd be nice to be out, and why play some more and torture yourself? So that's the only bad thing about it, and I'm sure that's going to happen. That when we get close to Friday. There's some of the teams that are completely out of it, and especially if they're playing each other, there's nothing to prove anymore. Why play?
Except pride always comes into play. You don't want to be the one to finish at the bottom of the rating, so there is a little pride that will come into play, though your heart won't be 100% in it.
Well, if you've lost the first 5, your pride is kind of dwindled somewhere. But it's pride does come into it, and they are going to be playing all the teams in the associations. Like the northern teams have played all their games against each other before Friday. Peace River and the South the same. So there's they won't be able to favor each other. For instance, if somebody's out, like say one of the northern teams out, and the other one has a fighting chance, they can't favor each other, which I don't think a curling team would do anyway.
No. And we have an update for you from Sheet 3 with a game between Frank Morissette and Michael Vavrick.
Well, thank you, Jackie. And what's happened over there is Mike Vavrick actually missed his first rock of the end and gave Frank Morissette a chance to pick up 2 here. And let's see how he makes out. He's splitting the rings here on his final shot of the end. 1-0 Mike Vavrick as Frank Morissette throws his draw. And he is there. So it's a big 2 points for Frank Morissette, and he leads after 5 ends of curling 2-1 over Mike Vavrick.
And percentages are very hot for the Vavrick team, and they're down 1 right now. 90, 98 for the second, 90 for the third, 78 for Mike against an 83% average for Morissette. And some great curling, because you got good ice, you're going to have good percentages.
Exactly. It's going to be very, very close. And one thing we haven't mentioned so far in the telecast here from the men's provincial sector is that there is time clocks going on. Everybody has to complete their game within an allotted time, and you have the times of our feature game.
Well, I got the time that's left. There's 52 minutes left for Kevin Martin. Only 47 minutes left for Doran Johnson, and that's going to create a little factor if it's a slow game. I think it's going about the right speed right now, and they do have 75 minutes to each team, and then they have 30 seconds when the end is finished to start throwing.
And Johnson, he's not going to have as much time as Martin due to the fact that he's going to be drawing the remainder of the way while Martin is going to be throwing hits. And this is just a carbon copy of what we saw last end. Johnson throws up one, Martin peels, and so far it's been playbook curling as second Dan Patrick goes to throw.
Well, it's the right way to play it. It'd be crazy for Kevin to start gambling here. He's 2 up, he's in control. Because Johnson has to take the chances. So, what Kevin would do is, you never know. Sometimes they go to put up that front guard and it grabs something and pulls over 3-4 feet off center. Then Kevin's going to use it and put 2 points and get further ahead. So Doran has to hope there's a hit on the nose sometime, and sometimes if you have enough patience and keep playing, it happens. And,
what are your thoughts about with Doran, even though he keeps throwing up the center guards? What about eventually trying to throw a corner? Do you think Martin would you mind if Martin went around? At least you would get something going, and maybe you'd come away with something.
Well, he's going to have to if he keeps playing in the center and they keep peeling. Sometimes you got to move that rock around, and if it doesn't work in the next end or two, he's going to have to try everything. So he might as well try anything when you're down 2 to the Canadian champion and you haven't got last rock. Something's got to happen, so maybe sometimes you got to make it happen.
Exactly, and Kevin asking for another peel here, just from his third. Kevin Park. This is Kevin's first stone here of the 5th end.
Shot, Kevin.
And another perfect shot. You don't have to hit too much at that speed, and it's going to go out. And that's the way they won last year, going that way. This year I was a little kind of wondering with them. They played a lot of curling this year in Spiels with the Moncton rule, and even in when they go over the Olympics, it's a modified Moncton rule. It is a Moncton rule, but you can hit your own if you're trying to get it onto another one. So they did play lots of Spiels that way, and sometimes you can get a rut of having lots of rocks in play, and
you get that sort of game plan in your mind.
Well.
And just going for another center guard here, Corey Perrin, the 3rd for Doran Johnson. The sweeper's just watching it very, very closely here in the 5th end. And we're just going to take a break right now from the 1992 Provincial Men's Curling Championship, coming to you live from the Leduc Curling Club.
The Northern Alberta Curling Association is proud to host the 1992 Alberta Labatt Tankard. The NACA provides the following services to the curlers in Northern Alberta: management of playdowns, promotion of curling, education in the sport, administration functions. NACA, a curling tradition since 1918. Pepsi is a proud sponsor of the Alberta Tankard, and 1992 marks the 35th year of Pepsi support for curling in Canada, including the Pepsi Juniors from provincial and territorial playdowns right up to the national championships being held this year in Vernon, BC. This is the longest-running corporate sponsorship in any amateur sport in Canada. In 1992, Pepsi is also a proud sponsor of Team Canada, who will compete in Albertville, France. Pepsi, gotta have it.
Welcome. We are live from the Leduc Curling Club for the Labatt Alberta Tankard. It is the 1992 Provincial Men's Curling Championship. I'm Jackie Ray Greening. We have Jerry Wilson down at ice level, and sitting beside me in the booth here is former world champion Hector Gervais, and we're just coming out here on Doran Johnson's first shot in the 5th end. Kevin Martin has the brick this end. Very commanding lead, up by a score of 4-2.
Pretty well a repeat of the end before. There was nothing in play, and Doran is saying really close, and he's worried that Kevin might come around it, but Kevin didn't last end, and he probably won't this end. He don't have to be up more than this with a good hitting team, and also have last rock, so it's nice to keep that last rock in case something does go wrong sometime.
I owe one now.
Well, just to bring you up to date on the Don Walchuk Brian Costain game, Don Walchuk made a great hit and roll behind a corner guard, and Brian Costain was unable to get him out, and Donnie Walchuk drew for 2 points. So Donnie Walchuk leads that game 2-1 after 5 ends of curling. And in the Stacy Coomer, Dave Stewart game. They blanked the fifth end, and it is still 3-2 for Stacy Coomer over David Stewart.
And Jerry, looking at that game, I've just been given the statistics for that game, and the telltale sign with Stewart down one, he's only shooting 55% right now. When your skip is only making half his shots, you know it's an uphill struggle. His front end is curling in the 80s, his thirds at 70%. But David is struggling right now, being in his first provincials as a skip, and he's obviously hoping for better things in the final five ends. He's down one without the brick, so he definitely has his work cut out for him against Stacy Cumber, who is shooting 83%. So quite a difference when one skip's shooting 55 and the other is 83%.
And, you know, being from the hometown is nice if you're in contention, but if you're struggling and not playing well, that's the last place you want to be, because all your friends see you play that way. And I'm sure that, you know, he's not out of it. It's only 3-2. Lots of things can happen in the game yet, and I'm sure it will, and he'll come on.
He's definitely had his chances this game, and I think that's probably what he's thinking to himself. I've had my chances, and he is going to get another break. Back to our feature game. This is Doran Johnson's final stone of the fifth end, and trying to put it in a spot where it's invisible and Kevin Martin can't see it, which I don't think's possible.
Well, you know, I'm surprised he didn't go to the center of the rings and get it, like, biting the front of the forefoot, and there's further for Kevin to have to roll out on. Here, if Kevin hits it a little bit on the wide side, he's going to only have to roll 3 feet to get it out. Kevin's taking the in-turn here because that's what he threw a couple ends ago to hit and stay on the third end. So he's not, he doesn't care what side he rolls off of. He got to hit the rock and hopefully roll out.
He's going for the long roll, I think, on the in-turn hit here, and would once again love to blank this end and retain that hammer, as you say, if just in case anything happens to go wrong.
Well, the hammer, especially if you don't have to give any points up for it, makes sense when you're 2 points up and you got the hammer. Why not keep it if everything's going right? And the last two ends they have been.
I turned it.
Oh, he's going to hit it on the nose, it looks like.
He said about halfway down the ice, he yelled to his front end. He said, well, he said, I turned it. So he got that in-turn going, and even though he did hit and stick, he's still not in bad shape. After 5 ends of play, Kevin Martin leads Doran Johnson by a score of 5-2. So going into the sixth, Doran will be down 3, as they're just going to take a little fifth end break. They let them clean the ice, and even though I'm sure Doran would want Kevin Martin's little corns still to remain on the ice.
Yeah, I just said, hold it now. We don't need to clean this. I need something to happen here. But they do clean the ice. It's a thing that came in a few years back, and a good policy, because gives you a chance to talk to your coach, and Jules Dochar is their coach, and their fifth man going down to the Olympics and in the world last year and the Canadian. So why not talk it over and say, now you're doing it just the way you're supposed to, and you're up 3 points. Don't do anything foolish here, and you're going to win this game.
And right now, we're going to go down to ice level. Jerry Wilson has a special guest.
Well, thank you, Jackie. And standing with me is Canadian champion Kevin Martin. Kevin, first rock of the game by Doran Johnson. He went for the corner. Were you a little surprised as you had one in the forefoot?
Not really. No, Doran likes to get after it, and I wasn't too surprised by it, because we have to feel it. We can't afford to throw center first end. You know, you don't want to get into the junk too quick. So everything went okay in the first.
Second end, 2 big race takeouts, one by Petrick, one by Park. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, they threw them perfect. You know, like they're tough shots. Those straight back 15, 20 footers are tough shots, and they made them perfect. Kevin even rolled it behind the corner guard instead of the center guard, so it's 5 out of 4, I guess.
You can't ask for more than that. Were you a little surprised he didn't go after your back one?
Which?
On the second end, when he had a chance, you had one behind the corner, he could have come down and maybe moved your back one out of the house?
Yeah, he could have definitely moved that out easily. But then we're going to get a deuce. And he doesn't want to get down one. As it turned out, you know, it ended up being worse than that for him. But I think you've either got to go around center guard with a draw or play to the corner. If you go to the back one, then you're actually just saying, here, have 2. And that's, you know, you don't want to try to do that.
So what's the game plan the rest of the way?
Well, if everybody keeps shooting like this, it'll be pretty basic, I hope. It doesn't seem to ever work that way, though, so we'll see.
Well, thank you, Kevin, and good luck the rest of the way. And back upstairs to Jackie and Hector.
Thanks very much, Jerry. And his positive nature continues, and I think he's definitely got control of it. And he complimented, like he said, Kevin Park on that raise behind the corner. He says, I give him a 5 out of a 4.
Well, he could have said I gave him the right ice, of course, for that.
That's very true. We're going to watch Frank Morissette's game here while our feature game between Martin and Johnson. The ice gets cleaned here at the 5th end break, and the score is 2-1 for Frank Morissette here in the 6th end, and Vavrick is just trying to come into the side 12-foot, and he pulled her short.
Well, it leaves a little bit simpler choice for Frank Morissette. You can either come around that one and force Mike Vavrick to take one, and I think that's exactly what he's doing, or he could hit it and roll in, but I don't think that Vavrick would be able to split them and get 2 points anyway, so he's smart coming around it.
Or his other probably shot, he wouldn't want to hit it, but he could split the rings and go the opposite way, basically. And
well, I think a person, when they haven't got last rock, would like the other team to take his one. You don't. That's what they're supposed to. If you can hold a team to one and then you have control after, and I'm not sure what Morissette's thrown here, but I'm sure it's an intern.
And we're just watching Frank Morissette's final stone here, taking a look at Frank's third, and just watching it closely. And as you called it, he's just calling the intern draw around as we closely watch this. Looks like he has lots of room, Hector.
Yeah, he's going to be wide open there, but
it's going to be wide open, and Michael will probably call for the split right now and to blank the end. And right now we're going to go back to Jerry Wilson, who has Doran Johnson with him right now.
Well, thank you, Jackie. And standing with me is Doran. Doran, it didn't quite go the way you would like a start of the game to go to. The second end, you seem to be a little fooled or baffled out there as to what exactly happened to your rock.
Yeah, how to take fun out of curling in a hurry, eh? No, my third rock ran really straight, so it was the last one down, so we iced tight on both mine, and I thought I threw them perfect, and both of them go, wow, and both touched the same guard, so pretty much we were dead. We're still going to play, but it's a pretty boring game from here on in, I think.
It's tough to get down to, Kevin. There are good peelers, so what's the strategy now?
Well, I think we're going to hit them high, hit them low, wherever we can. We're going to go to physical contact in the second half, I think.
Well, nice talking to you, Doran, and best of luck the rest of the way, and we'll talk to you after the game.
Thanks, Jerry.
Definitely a character. Hit them high, hit them low. Go to a contact game. And I'm not sure, as I was listening so closely to the interview there, we're taking a look here at the Frank Morissette and Michael Vavrick game, and
well, it ended up that Morissette's rock wasn't buried, but Mike Vavrick ended up hitting it and rolling behind his first one, which didn't help him. He got his 1 point, so the score is 2-2 right now.
After 6 ends of play. Definitely some close games. Don Walchuk is leading Costain by a score of 2-1 in the 6th end. Vavrick and Morissette all tied up after 6. David Stewart down 1 by a score of 3-2, playing Stacy Cumber in the 6th end. And we'll go back now to our feature game. Their 5th end break is all but over, so after 6 ends of going into the 6th, rather, it's 5-2 for Kevin Martin, and this is Doran Johnson's lead, Terry Hamilton.
And Kevin changed his strategy a bit, and he got Don Bartlett to wheel it through. He says, I'm not going to give him anything to come to or freeze to, so he got Don Bartlett to throw it through, saying, I can peel some more here. And, of course, Doran Johnson, all he has is to set up some guards, and he's a little bit close to the boards here, but Kevin has to go for it.
That's Terry Hamilton, who is the lead for Doran. This is his first ever provincial playdown, so I'm sure it's a thrill for him to be here. His nickname is Hammer.
If Don Bartlett can make this shot, he's going to be going 100%. He is right now.
Okay.
And he's got it. Perfect. Back to him and Dan Petrick are both at 100%. 93 for Kevin Park and 90 for Kevin Martin. And, boy, 96% average. Nobody's going to beat you. I don't care if you're playing another team or Houdini even wouldn't have a chance.
And I see at the bottom of the stats page, rather, it says happy anniversary, Heck.
Oh, geez. Now,
is that from Helen, or?
I'm thinking that Helen might not have read that thing where there's no gift, and I might have a gift cover there. I'm not sure. 86% average for Doran Johnson, which is a very good percentage. 100%. There's 3 people going on that sheet of ice at 100%. 98% for Rob Armitage. 85 for Corey Perrin, and unfortunately Doran Johnson came from 33 up to 60, but you know, when you have a bad end or two, even if you go to 100% after that, you're in trouble.
That is the telling statistic for sure. When Kevin Martin is shooting 90% and your opposition, Skip, is only shooting 60. Dan Petrick being asked to peel this corner guard off by Skip Kevin Martin.
Clean. Good.
Who would have thought somebody from Smoky Lake would be the Canadian champion, and Dan Petrick is the one. In fact, his brother Steve was in the Canadian juniors a few years back, so quite a curling family. The mother curls and the father curls. The mother was in the seniors and lost out, and I seen the dad curl at the club one time in the Spiel, so quite a curling family.
And Smoky Lake, I bet you didn't know this, Smoky Lake is the pumpkin capital of Alberta.
My God, I did remember reading something about it, and you know, that's be quite an accomplishment, you know, and it was a big, I don't know, 400, 500, 600 pounds.
Whoa, you big pumpkins. Yeah, actually, the station I work for, 790 CFCW, we're the major sponsor of that, and when the guy first, who's Larry Lafleur, who's a big curler up in the Smoky Lake area, and when he phoned and asked us to sponsor it, I thought, Larry, what have you been taking? But it's a real fun family event, and definitely some big pumpkins.
500 or 600 pounds. I could probably fit inside of that, and you know, on Halloween and scare somebody, maybe. I don't have to be in something to scare somebody.
I didn't say it. I'd never even crossed my mind.
No.
Well, you know, it's going to be just about there's it. Finally got a hit on the nose. And, I don't know if he can bury and be in much trouble but Johnson, I'm sure, is going to use it.
It is a long, long guard. It's that corner guard. It just barely was over the hog line. So I think even if Doran does get by here, there is a possibility that they can just throw a quiet weight hit at it.
Yeah, Doran wish that was over about a foot at least, and but you know, he has last rock and hit it on the nose, so
he's asking the second Rob Armitage to come around here, and I'm sure Doran's just happy to have something in play.
Whoa, can we go guard? Whoa.
Right, it's funny, watching different sheets when they go to come and bury, they're missing by lots and then leaving it pretty wide open. This one's not going to be buried hardly at all, a little bit at the end, but I'm sure it'll be easy to pick out.
That went really straight till it died, eh?
He's talking to Rob.
Okay. So that tightened your ice a little bit from the last one, eh? I give you about 2 inches left. Uh-huh. It seems to me, though, like with the less weight, they curl early off that line, eh? Yeah. If you throw the draw weight, they seem to hold the line, and then they'll go a little late, but not that big, eh? Yeah.
So he better, he should have got onto that earlier in the game, and he might be still in it, you know. He's learning it late, but it might help him in other games, or maybe even this one, who knows. Kevin Park coming down and throwing a quiet weight on that, and it does stay straighter when you have a little weight. It's not, Kevin, they're not touching it. Oh, yeah, you got a dandy.
Roll it.
Just nice backboard weight, and he's going to roll into the open, and they want to stay in the ring now.
That's why this team is so tough. They can play the different weights, and sometimes you have to, like why roll out on this one and give him a better chance of burying? If you can stay in with your third now, he can make his draw perfect behind there, and he won't be shot rock. So Kevin will have a choice to either draw on the other side or trying to come around and follow him.
And this is third Corey Perrin's first shot here in the sixth end. Kevin Martin is leading by a score of 5-2 after 5 ends of play, and Corey's just trying to come around here with the intern. Corey's a power engineer in Medicine Hat. He curls out of the Medicine Hat Curling Club. Curled for 17 years, and he has seen a Canadian championship, though that was a few years ago when he was still in juniors. And
good line, real good line. Real good line, got to get here.
The front end's really,
all you can,
really sweeping. It's the line's looking good, Hector, but I think he's a little light, maybe.
Well, it slides a long way. No, he's a little bit light. You were right again.
Okay,
remember that.
14 and a half.
We're going to take a look at the Walchuk Costain game right now, Jerry.
What?
This is Brian
Yeah, I
Costain.
think he thinks Robbie's a little stronger
I
than he
think
is.
it's his last rock on
Yeah, really. If they'd have really beat on that, we'd have probably been through the ring.
Jerry's nodding off again, and he did blank the end there. Okay.
Sorry about
So after 6 ends of play, Don Walchuk is leading Brian Costain by a score of 2-1. What was that, Jerry? Oh, you're back with us now?
Yeah, I'm back here. Just a little mic problem.
Oh, okay.
So this
We got it straightened around.
That's good.
Well, things seem to be getting tougher for Doran Johnson. They didn't make the draw. He'd have been really buried, too. He could have got in there with that first one. Now, Kevin wants this one to make sure he's not anywhere where they can freeze to it, and he's got about the perfect weight you can throw right across from each other. What does Doran can do?
That's a perfect shot by Kevin Park, and a great shot of it there from the overhead camera from Shaw Cable.
It's not a bad call, is this?
Well, Doran is thinking of putting the front one out in front, and it'd be very tough for Kevin to hit it without staying on the nose or hitting onto one of them, and then maybe he could get a roll behind eventually.
This is his third, so last shot of the 6th end, and an interesting call. He's just throwing up a center guard, and
so he's a pretty good bluffer, you know, Doran. He's laughing about things, and I don't think it's much. I don't think he's that happy. What can he do? He's he's here and he's got to play, and he's down, and maybe he's just bluffing, figuring that Kevin will wonder why is he so happy to be 3 down.
though, as Doran said in his interview, he wasn't having a whole lot of fun.
I didn't see any body contact yet. He lied so far.
Tight line.
Well, there's a little more experience on the Doran Johnson team. In age-wise, 129 years their team average is out with the 4 of them. 109 years old is for Kevin Martin. Kevin Martin's team has 67 years of curling experience and only 73 years for Doran Johnson. So it's pretty evenly matched there. Of course, he came just where he didn't want to. He wanted out in front, yeah.
If Martin would just dearly loved, as he's indicating there with third Kevin Park hitting stick.
13 and 6. Okay.
And looking there at your player profile and biography, and as we were saying, Doran Johnson, quite the character he has under his occupation, entrepreneur.
Yeah, he's quite a guy. You know, you'll see him between games playing cards somewhere if he can find some sucker to play with him. He just likes to gamble and made his living most of his life out of it. He was in the provincials finals last year in the mixed play downs, and he tried to get me to play again. I said, no way, Jose.
This is Kevin Martin's first stone of the 6th end. He's up 3 without the hammer, but he again has Doran Johnson on the run.
And it's Kevin Ray Martin.
Oh, no relation.
No relation to the Ray Martin in politics, but it's Kevin Ray Martin, his name is. And
it's Kevin Ray and Jackie Ray and...
Hector Ray? No, it's not
Hector
Ray.
No, it's Gervais.
You gotta go.
Okay.
If you go right there, you're not good. But if you get right there, I don't know.
There won't be many more days, and you and your good team, Debbie Shermack, and yourselves will be down in Strathmore curling in the provincial down there. What do you think is going to happen? You were down there throwing rocks?
Yeah, we headed down and was trying out the ice in Strathmore, which is about a half-hour east. The provincial start on February 6th, and the ice looks great. It's actually very similar to this, a little straighter, but it's a brand new club as well. It's only about 4 years old, and the rocks are in great shape, as is the rink. So we're really looking forward to it. It's
the teams from the north, the teams from southern Alberta and Peace River, you know much about them, and which one do you think might give you a tough game?
I think they all will give us a tough game. Out of the south is Sandy Turner, who I played in the 85 provincials, so she's been there before. There's also Crystal DeValter, who was in the provincials last year, and Cheryl Bernard. We've played her quite a few times along the Bonspiel circuit. So we've played all the teams from the south that are in there. Of course, from the north, Faye White from Fort Saskatchewan and Carolyn Rivette from Lloydminster. And then our peace teams, a gal, Karen Gould, who went to the Scott Tournament of Hearts in 1987.
Lots of room.
And the other one we don't know is Dorothy Hess. Not familiar with that team at all. So that's the only one we haven't played.
And you'll be playing her first.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
And of course, Karen Gould is Karen Powell now, and
Oh, that's right.
she was in the provincial last year. Because I tag along with these girls and try to help them out a little bit once in a while, and you guys got a good team, but you know you're going to have lots of tough competition out there.
Definitely, our work is cut out for us. And speaking of work cut out for them, if we could have that aerial shot again from the overhead camera, it gave us a really good view of what's happening this
as simple as just
We listen to Kevin Martin here.
knocking that son of it out of that way. He can't get us in, can he?
You can't get it out of there for sure.
Just get this thing out of this spot right here.
Yeah, raise that up a little bit further.
For one, oh yeah, just a nose hit for one, but for two, yeah, but can you make that thing stick around? Without that rock being there, that's pretty tough.
What's wrong with this, though?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with that?
Well, they could put a guard
Straight
up
back
there,
looks
too.
better.
If he pushes that back to the 4 foot, there's no way that he can get more than
For
one.
1-2. But he's got this, just double for two, if we guard.
Can't guard, you got two doubles.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There's a good shot of what's happening here.
Well, then he's got it.
Yeah, but then he just goes like this. The bang, and there you go.
Got everything.
He's got the quad for two. Let's just bump this up a couple inches.
He doesn't have a shot.
It makes sense.
No.
If he pushes that red one up on the left-hand side and pushes it up a foot or two, he's going to have to make a really tough shot to get his 1 point.
Stay straight back to T-line.
I think that's an excellent call.
He could guard it, but you know,
Oh yeah, straight back. As long as you don't line it up, that's the thing. Yeah.
guards aren't the easiest thing in the world to put, and this way, if he can push it in, you know, 3 feet or 2 feet, you know, I don't know what Doran Johnson might do except take his glove off here and maybe shake hands, because he's going to have to make a tough shot to get 1 point out of it.
Kevin Martin 3 up without the hammer here in the 6th end. This is Kevin Martin's final stone, and as he indicated, he just wants to advance his stone, which is in the top 8, but put it straight back, and
There's room.
he does this. All Doran has is
Line's good.
cold
Not too deep. Not too deep.
Not many interns throwing out that far either, so they're kind of guessing a little bit.
Just T-line.
Oh, he's got nice weight. He's got the line at all.
Oh! Take it back. Take it back. Line's good. Come on.
Exactly what he wanted to do. I wouldn't want to be Doran Johnson right now and try to figure out how to get one out of this. There's no way he can get more than one. And he'd have to make a really good shot to get 1 point. And he'd have to play the outturn draw. He could play a double off the ones.
I don't think the double's there the way they're lined up.
Thin, it'd have to be a very from the outside one with the edge of the blue there. And he could come that way, but he could outdraw it. And that's about.
That's a good camera shot, and you're exactly right. That's what his third, Corey, is indicating is let's do a cold draw to the 4 foot.
And he hasn't been drawing that great, you know. He's been. He did make one good draw for the 1 point, yeah. And then after that, he was struggling with his draw weight. He was, you know, here you got to be so close. You got to be at least biting the 4 foot to cut him out of one, and pretty near biting the button to count one. So it's a shot you don't want to have to play. And if he happens to do everything wrong, 2 gone more, and that would be putting her completely out of reach then.
So once again, he's throwing his last shot here in the 6th end, talking away to his front end, and.
Well, I'm not the only one with thin hair. I'm 21 years older than him, and I got pretty near as much hair as Doran Johnson. Mind you, I didn't lose mine playing poker. It was from
you just
curling.
lost your shirt. Oh, yeah.
Lost the shirt, yeah, right.
Not your hair, your shirt. Doran Johnson's final stone of the 6th end here from the Labatt's Alberta Tankard at the Leduc Curling Club.
Close, Tad.
You can hear him communicating to his sweepers.
Break level. Good line now, just for weight.
His front end, Rob Armitage, Terry Hamilton watching closely. He's very close.
He's going to be close here, I'll tell you. What a shot.
Just like he knew what he was doing.
Boy, oh boy,
that's a great draw.
Beautiful shot.
Doran Johnson picks up one in the 6th end, so after 6 ends of play, it is 5-3 for Kevin Martin. So Kevin's up a couple of points with the brick going in to the 7th end. And Jerry, do you have any updates for us on the other games right now?
Yes, on sheet 3, Frank Morissette one rock in the house, hit and stayed on his last one. He has scored one in the 7th end. So Frank Morissette, after 7 ends, is leading Mike Vavrick of the Peace Country 3-2. But Mike Vavrick has the hammer in the 8th end.
And still with the Walchuk Costain game, only 2 ends have been scored. The 3rd end when Costain stole that one, and then Walchuk picked up a deuce in the 5th, and it's been fairly clean ever since, has it?
It certainly has. It's 2-1 over there now. Walchuk's got an open hit for 2, but Brian Costain has the hammer. But on sheet 2, it was Stacy Coomber drawing for 1. He had to hit the full 12-foot, and he did for 1 point. It was David Stewart that had one around a corner guard, and he couldn't hit it. So he drew for his 1, and on that game, Stacy Coomer leaves 4-2 after 7 ends of curling.
And he is playing the hometown favorite, the David Stewart foursome, and just got the statistic there after 7 ends of play. And David Stewart's percentage coming up a bit. He's shooting 61% now compared to Stacy Cumber's 79%. So the team averages are exactly tied at 79%, so 2 evenly matched teams. And as you said, Stacy has control, being 2 up going into the 8th end without the break. Now we're going back to our featured game, Kevin Martin, Doran Johnson. Kevin up 2 points, and as you can see Doran indicating there, let's throw a center guard up.
Well, all Doran has to do here is get a break, get somebody hit one on the nose that's on the close to the center line, and try and bury behind, steal a point, and then he's back in the game. He can't keep getting one, and
looks like a lot of
when he's got last rock and expect to get back in this game. And he made a great shot to get his 1 point last end, and of course, when you're gambling, sometimes things go wrong, and it did there, and he had to save the end, and he made a perfect shot to save it.
And Terry Hamilton, lead for Doran Johnson, throws up his center guard as he was asked. And Terry Hamilton is the owner-operator of a building supply store in the Medicine Hat. It's his first ever provincial championship, and having a real great first game. I think he's sitting around the 100% mark right now, as is Don Bartlett, who's being asked to appeal that center stone.
As I was telling Don earlier, or the other day, actually, him and his wife are going to go a week earlier to the Olympics to try to, some people don't live too far in Paris, and so he's going to make a holiday of it, and that's kind of nice. You don't get in them kind of countries very often, and why not take advantage of it?
So it's a good thing he's a postal clerk and not a postman, because somebody's definitely not getting their mail for the next few weeks.
Okay.
Rob Armitage throwing up a center guard here. And they're just waiting for a break, either a nose or a miss.
They haven't had too many noses. There was one nose hit on the last end, and it really didn't help one bit. It didn't come into anything at all to help Doran Johnson. He hasn't got last rock this end, and he's got to hope for something, because, playing the 7th end.
Now let's go to an update right now from the Walchuk Costain game. Jerry?
Donnie Walchuk's line 2 as Brian Costain goes to throw his last rock, and let's see how he makes out here. He's hitting one out in the 12-foot. And he's got it, and he stays around for 1 point. So it's Brian Costain tying up the game after 7 ends, 2-2.
And I think with that camera shot, you couldn't see Walchuk had one just biting just out of the television screen there, and that's why Costain was forced to take one there in the 7th end.
Good point.
Well, some of them are good.
Wow.
Okay, don't say a word.
I don't care if you're bad this week. Next week, you be sharp, because I'm going all the way down there to Calgary, and only for one reason, is for you guys to win. So actually, you're going to not to Strathmore. I haven't seen the rink there, but it's a new rink, 5 years old, you're saying, and if the ice is good as you say, it's going to be some interesting curling down there.
Well, how do you like that, Jackie? The coach has spoken.
I know. I saluted there off camera. If you.
Dan Petrick, he's got his occupation down as curler. He took off a year off of university, and he's going to curl, and You know, he's single. He made pretty good money. You know, a quarter of $60,000, $15,000 more than he's ever seen in his life. Of course, you're not going to pay back your loans. You're going to keep that.
And for any of you single girls watching, don't marry a curler.
That's what your husband was saying, Cliff. He says, don't marry a curler.
We're playing in the 7th end here of the Labatt Alberta Tankard. This is the first round of an 18 round robin. Doran Johnson throwing up the guards, Kevin Martin peeling. It's a scenario we've come to know very well over the last few ends. It was a nightmare second end for Doran Johnson when he gave up 4 to Kevin Martin, and it's been downhill ever since that end.
Well, you know, when you get up 4 to a team like Kevin, you're, you know, unless the ice is going to be terrible, you're not going to get back in the game very easily.
Kevin Park looking to peel once again.
And they own Kevin and Linda's restaurant in the Otwell area and doing very well with it. And, of course, Linda's doing all the work, of course.
Of course, because Kevin's curling. We're just going to take a short break here from the Labatt's Alberta Tankard, live from the Leduc Curling Club.
The Northern Alberta Curling Association is proud to host the 1992 Alberta Labatt Tankard. The NACA provides the following services to the curlers in Northern Alberta: management of playdowns, promotion of curling, education in the sport, administration functions. NACA, a curling tradition since 1918. Pepsi is a proud sponsor of the Alberta Tankard, and 1992 marks the 35th year of Pepsi support for curling in Canada, including the Pepsi Juniors from provincial and territorial playdowns, right up to the national championships being held this year in Vernon, BC. This is the longest-running corporate sponsorship in any amateur sport in Canada. In 1992, Pepsi is also a proud sponsor of Team Canada, who will compete in Albertville, France. Pepsi, gotta have it.
Welcome back to the 1992 Provincial Men's Curling Championships. We are coming to you live from the Leduc Curling Club, which is located in the Black Gold Center, just a gorgeous new curling rink. I'm Jackie Ray Greening, along with Hector Gervais, and down at ice level we have Jerry Wilson freezing his toesies off, and we're watching the feature game between Kevin Martin, Doran Johnson. Martin currently holding a 5-3 lead after 6 ends of play.
And there's not much happening, but you know, Doran, the only thing he can do is keep putting it out in front. He hasn't got last rock, and he's got to hope for something to happen, and it just about happened against him last end. He had to make a fantastic shot. He had to bite the button to count 1 against 2, but when you're gambling, that happens.
He has been to the provincial men's 4 times. He's been runner-up a couple of times. Been to the mixed 5 times.
He had a pretty fair team in the mix last year, but didn't quite get it. He lost in the semifinal, and you know, you can tell he must just play cards and curl, because he's been in 4 provincials, and boy, the one year Pat Ryan had to go his best lick to beat him, so I wouldn't cut him out yet, even if he loses this game. With this round robin format, you can lose a game or 2 and still come back and have a chance at it, and that's the only advantage. That's probably why he likes it. You know, he can, if he happens to lose this game, then you know, there's not much advantage for Kevin, except that he's beat him, and it won't matter much 6 more games from now if he's still in the playoff.
Doran Johnson just throwing up a center guard, but he looks like he's going to be a little tight. In fact, in the rings.
Yeah, for a guy that just put one exactly where he had to last time, he's a little bit heavy there, and making it a lot easier for Kevin. So Kevin would like to hit it on the nose now, or stay in play, because now Doran, what's Doran going to do? He can't gamble too much here.
And Kevin Martin is first rock here in the 7th end. An interesting thing with Kevin, as you watch there, he threw down his corn broom and uses the push to throw with, where a lot of the people that are using push brooms now do the opposite. Like I know my skip, Deb Shermack, uses the push broom, but she throws still with her corn broom.
Yeah, I was going to invent a broom like with push on one end, corn on the other, and that would eliminate all this.
Come on, curl.
Kevin Park saying, come on, curl. It looked like Kevin Martin threw a bit more weight than he wanted to
Go
on
back
that.
there, eh?
Yeah, you wanted to stay in because it would make it pretty tough for Doran Johnson. What did he do with one in there? He's down 2. This way, Doran's going to put it in and hope that Kevin hits on the nose and gets his 1 point, and then gamble some more the next end. And he's running out of ends.
We'd like right now to go back to that Morissette-Vavrick game. It's a barn burner on sheet 3 here at the Leduc Curling Club. An update going on here.
Well, Mike Vavrick's got an open hit here. Let's see how he makes out. There's only one rock in play. And he hits and rolls out to blank the end. So after 7 ends of curling, it's 3-2 for Frank Morissette over Mike Vavrick. And Mike missed a draw the first time shot of his first shot of that end, and he just seems to be struggling just a bit. The team percentages are very high because there's very few rocks in play, and they're just hitting away. But Mike himself, he did have that one open miss earlier in the game that gave Frank Morissette the opportunity to pick up a deuce, and so far that's been the difference in the game. So it's 3-2 after 7 ends of play for Frank Morissette.
And Mike Vavrick does have the hammer, though, so I'm sure here in the 9th end he's definitely looking to get his deuce, so he can be in a little better shape coming home.
Well, Kevin Martin is throwing the out-turn for the first time in this spot. He threw the in-turn, I think 2 or 3 different ends on the odd ends down at it, and he knows what it's going to do here now, and he wants to roll out to keep control of the game, and you know, he'd dearly like to roll out, but even if he hits on those, he's not in too bad a shape.
Representing the Avonayre Curling Club, Kevin Martin with his final stone.
And he did it perfect.
And there you go, blanks it. So after 7 ends of play, it is 5-3 for Kevin Martin. He will have the brick going into the 8th end and in total control over Doran Johnson. As you can see, Doran sort of just leaving that area, sort of dejected. Talking with his second, Rob Armitage, and
there's only so many things you can do in this game to try to get back in it, and you know, what can you do? You put corner guards, you got you know, center guards. Doesn't seem to matter where they put them. Kevin and his boys are peeling them, and you know, he's getting to run out of end here pretty soon. They're playing the 8th end. He's down 2 points without the hammer, and something's got to happen for him to get to have a chance in this game.
And that's where Doran was just talking with Rob Armitage, and they were he's saying, well, tell Terry, which is the lead, which is throwing right now, and obviously they're going to employ some kind of different strategy, and I have a feeling I wonder if it's in the rinks.
Well, he could try to get back at the 4 foot, hope they hit on the nose and then be able to freeze, but you know, it's still going to be open hits, and unfortunately for him, he's got to hope that there is a hit on the nose, and he's on close to the center line. If it does, if they do hit on the nose, he might be able to come around it.
And the way they're smiling here, I think that's what their strategy was going to be, was that they wanted it in the rings, but then he threw a guard.
Well,
can't go wrong, though.
Some of the best strategy never works out.
True.
Percentages is still very good for both teams, especially the Kevin Martin team. For the Doran Johnson team, Terry Hamilton's still at 100%, which is unbelievable at this stage of the game. But of course, they've been down all the time, and he just has to put them anywhere over the hog line, and it's going to count. Rob Armitage at a blistering 98%, which is a very good percentage. Corey Perrin is at 75, and Doran Johnson slowly creeping up. He started off at 33, went to 60, and then 64 for a team average of 84%. But Kevin Martin's team, Don Bartlett's still at 100%, which is keeping even with Terry Hamilton. 93% for Dan Petrick, which is a very good percentage. Kevin Park is at a hot 95, which is what you need. If your third's going really strong, you're going to have easier shots for yourself. Of course, Kevin Martin is at 89%, a 94% average, and as a team, and you can't lose at that percentage of 94%.
And again, looking over those stats with Kevin Martin's team, a team average of 94%. But the telltale statistic again with Doran Johnson only shooting 64%, and right from the second end on, it's been a nightmare night for Doran.
Well, as he said when Jerry interviewed him, you know, they're going to keep playing, but the chances of doing much right now is not great, and he's going to plug through the game and hope that he keeps it respectable. And percent for the time left. Kevin Martin has 36% after 36 minutes after 7 ends. 26 minutes for Johnson, so he probably wished the time ran out sooner because he just has nothing going for him, and I don't think the time clocks will come anywhere into effect in this game because there's only 3 ends left, and or a little less, and normally it takes about 7 or 8 minutes to play an end. So, especially when the other team is not playing your game and hitting, it's a hit and then a draw and then a hit and a draw. That's why he's 10 minutes behind. He's throwing draws all the time.
A lot of more draws. And Dan Petrick, second for Kevin Martin, being asked to peel. It's always nice to have a nice, easy sort of first game when you're in a provincial championship where you have control all the way. And
well, it's nice to have your team playing as well as Kevin Martin's team is playing. He knows that, boy, they're on the ball here, and if I can play good myself, we're going to have a great chance. You're getting through one of the guys that I thought might be a little bit of trouble because Doran Johnson has been there before. You can't scare him, and he likes to gamble. And if the score would have stayed a little closer, he'd have been a tough cookie to play against.
Line's real good.
Rob Armitage, second, throwing up another center guard. And
well, it's the old theory. You put a center guard, hope they hit, and they don't put another one up. He could go to the corners, and by putting him in the center, it's a little further from the row. But it's such great hitting ice here that, getting back to these clocks and the times, they've had time clocks for quite a few years now in the provincials. They do it in the ladies provincial too, and the Canadians, and then they came in thinking about changing the rule to a Moncton rule, which is going to slow the game up again. So it's kind of
they would definitely
defeating the purpose, and so it's going to be interesting to see. It hasn't been changed in Canada. They say that it probably won't for a few years, and the curlers seem to be against it. We had in the Super League in Edmonton, they had voting on it, and it was closer than I thought. But about 60% of them didn't like it, and I know the games that we did televise on Shaw Cable, there was 4 of them when the team that got down never did get back. It seemed like the other team knew they had to gamble too because they couldn't hit, and they came around first, and
they had to put the game away.
And the team that was down, it didn't help them at all. So and it didn't on the Moncton rule a couple of years ago either when Howard was down all the game and he got down worse. So it hasn't really proven. You might get more rocks in play, but it doesn't help the team that's down.
Oh, and as a player, it's a nightmare.
Wow.
I don't enjoy it at all, but
if you have a poor team, that's great. Because the only hope you got is there's rocks in play to beat a good team. But as Don Bartlett said, he said if he couldn't hit all year, he wouldn't play. He wouldn't play. He'd have to play another position.
That's exactly right, because at lead he would never ever hit.
Well, no, it'd be pretty. You wouldn't even have to pick a good curler. You could pick a guy that can put it within 20 feet of the house, and you got her made.
The one thing about that rule, though, the leads make a significant difference once the rock goes up front. If they can make the fine come-around shot, they can really control a game, especially if they keep it in front of the tee line. And
that's true, Jerry. Yeah, and that is key. If they can keep it in front of the tee and.
But see, what happens in that game is the only reason you put it over the hog is your down points. And then, of course, the other lead is the one that's going to come around it. And if he gets in front of the tee, then it's helping the team that's up. So, it didn't prove lost to me. Well, you played in, Jerry. What did you think of the Moncton rule yourself?
Well, there was lots of rocks in play, and like the thing that I found is that the good leads could control the game quite a bit. They had exceptional draw weight and could keep it in front of the tee. Otherwise, you're right. If you throw it in the rings, you could hit the rock. But it was not as easy as one thought to come back because you couldn't hit on the leads rocks.
Well, of course, we wouldn't be seeing all this peeling going on if that happened. But it does penalize a really good team and that can do this. And
Kevin Park makes another one.
Yeah, well,
let's go closer in.
We're going to go over to the Walchuk Costain game with an update here, Jerry.
Donnie's got a finesse shot here, just a quiet tap back. There's a possibility of 2, but we'll see how he makes out. Brian Costain just made a good freeze down to one of Donnie's, and you'll see it come into play right away. He has to be close to the guard and just move this rock back.
His front end's really brushing it. Just a little light, but he does come away with one.
And that puts Don Walchuk up 3-2 after 8 ends. Fine shot by Brian Costain, because if he doesn't make that freeze properly, Don could have had a deuce there, and that would have been a big deuce.
Don has 2 feet more weight on that. He's got his deuce.
And back to this game, there's nothing in play, of course, because the boys are doing, playing, one of them's playing 100%, another one at 95, another one at 96. So, unfortunately for Doran Johnson, he hit a tough team and gave up that big 4 in the second and has had trouble ever since.
Throws up a center guard here. Kevin Martin will ask to put down the ice to peel it. This is Kevin's first shot here in the 8th end. He's up by a score of 5-3.
I don't know where to throw it now.
We're coming to you live from the Leduc Curling Club on Shaw Cable.
And what a curling club, just a beautiful club.
Round this guard.
You've been to quite a few different places. I went all across the world curling, and I don't think I've seen one any nicer. It's beautiful viewing. They got seating for lots of people, and there is lots of people behind us watching, and there's seating outside when they start getting more people in, and if you dress up nice and warm, come down, you can sit out and be 10 feet away from the curlers here and see some wonderful curling.
So a lot of great seating. So we invite you to come down. The Labatt's Alberta Tankard is going to be going strong right through until Sunday here at the Leduc Curling Club, and this is going to be Doran Johnson's final stone of the 8th end, and he's going to come around an invisible guard that's out front.
Well, what he needs is a hanger to hang it about 8 inches above the ice, but unfortunately they don't have them yet.
He's really favoring that insert.
Of course, we keep forgetting that Labatt's is one of the main sponsors, is the main sponsor for the Brier, and what a sponsor they've been since they took it over in 1980, and I don't know if the Curling Association was lucky or what, but they couldn't have got anybody any better as a group to help out, and they do help you.
It was funny listening to Doran Johnson there. He was talking away to his front end as to why they were going to this side, and he says, that Martin loves his intern. He says, let's put it over there and see if he'll go to his out.
Well, Kevin just threw an out the last end and rolled out, so Doran figures maybe it's loud enough one of the other opposition can hear this too.
But he looks a little heavy here. Kevin Park getting right on it, and he is through the rigs. Gives Kevin Martin a free shot here in the 8th end, and as a skip, you gotta love having those.
Yes, if you could play against more guys like that, it'd be a lot more fun in this game. Johnson is just struggling a little bit with everything today. He missed them 2 in the same spot by watching one rock and couldn't believe that it's going to cut more. And he's just been struggling since then. He made a great draw to get 1 in the 6th, but now you sail through the rings and gives Kevin control again. Pretty nice position to be in. 2 up going in the 9th end with last rock. And,
yes.
Things would have to go drastically wrong, but just the other day when we taped a game or had a game with Don Walchuk and Randy Furby, Randy was 2 up, and all of a sudden he lost. So things can happen, and that's why you keep playing in this game. You can play 9 ends perfect, and all of a sudden there's a hit on the nose or 2 hits on the nose, and they're not. They're not that good a team that they can do it perfect all the time.
Exactly. There's. Doran Johnson is asking his lead, Terry Hamilton, to throw a corner guard. The only peel that Martin's team has missed was in the 6th end when Kevin Park nosed one that was just in the far side of the ring. So he's hoping Lady Luck will strike twice and hoping for another nose. As you can see, he's coming way over to the side there and putting in a little different spot.
Well, he's playing it in a spot where they haven't played lots there, and and even if if Don Bartlett missed this, it wouldn't, I don't think, hurt him. But he wants to make sure he hits it on the wide side, because if he could miss it on the wide side, it wouldn't matter. He didn't want to hit it and roll over to the center line and give Doran something to come around. And
Don Bartlett.
Clean.
Throwing an intern peel.
Clean. That's good.
And No problem there for Don Bartlett to peel that long corner guard out of Doran Johnson's.
Let's try this side. Just one more. Just one more.
He's begging his team to do something here, and they're doing what he wants, but it isn't helping.
He said, just one more. We'll try one more corner guard. And Doran's exactly right in what he's doing. He's got nothing to lose now. He might as well try as many different shots as he can.
Well, we're getting down to brass tacks here. The ninth end. Kevin Martin's up 5-3. He's got last rock. Nicer position you can't think of unless you were up more points. But, anytime you play that first game of the provincials, and you're usually a little jittery before that first game, and it's going to be give them a lot of confidence now with hopefully winning this game, and then you get that first game under your belt.
As you can see there, Doran had his lead, Terry Hamilton draw, and it's close to the board, so Kevin Martin says, forget it. That's not even worth worrying about.
That's what I say.
Well,
just to bring you up to date on Stacy Coomer and
Even if you're fully
David
behind it
Stewart, the
tight,
hometown
not bad.
favorite. Stacy Coomer had a draw for 2 as he goes up 6-3 after 9 ends over David Stewart.
So the hometown people from the Leduc Curling Club, the David Stewart foursome, down 3, coming home with the brick. And we'll have another update game right now. Take a look at the Morissette Vavrick game.
Mike Vavrick is drawing against 3 Frank Morissette stones. And let's take a look at how he makes out here. He's got to be full 8, close to the 4-foot.
He does have backing, but if he does hit the backing, he will
give up at least one, it looks like.
Yeah, and he's hot. They're not laying a brush to it. He slides to the back, and he actually gives up a steal of 2 to Frank Morissette.
Looks like they're measuring it right now, Jerry. Is that for that's obviously for the second point. So Morissette definitely steals 1 in the 9th end. And right now they are measuring for the 2, so we'll update you that. And if Morissette does steal 2 there in the 9th end, he's got total control.
That's been a very well-curled game. The only person that struggled a bit on that ice has been Mike Vavrick himself. He's played well, but he's missed a couple. That's hurt him.
Seems like he's been struggling with his draw weight a bit. But as I say, we will update you on that game. We are at the Leduc Curling Club for the 1992 Provincial Men's Curling Championship. We'll be back right after this.
Jerry Wilson would like to welcome all participants and viewers to the Alberta Labatt Tankard, and would like to wish the winner lots of success in the upcoming Brier. Jerry has been a member of the Edmonton Real Estate Board since 1974 and is also a member of the MLS $1 Million Club. For effective, customer-friendly real estate results, call Jerry Wilson at 464-4060. Labatt Breweries of Canada have been the proud sponsors of the Labatt Tankard since 1980. Since that time, we have witnessed some of the finest curling in the world, from Victoria, BC to St. John's, Newfoundland. Please accept our invitation to join us at the Leduc Curling Club from January 29th to February 3rd, 1992, to be a part of the Labatt Alberta Provincial Tankard Championships. Dreams for sale. Heritage Custom Homes is now operating in Leduc, Beaumont, and Devon. We can build from your plans or create from our own. For a free consultation, call Bob Kleinmeyer in Beaumont at 929-2744, or Lauren Hostin in Leduc at 986-2100.
Shaw Cable is proud to present the 1992 Provincial Men's Curling Championship. It is the Labatt's Alberta Tankard, and we're coming to you live from the Leduc Curling Club.
Got a break. Where's the weight?
And we're going with some
hurry now.
Major corner guards here. Doran Johnson, as you'll notice, he'll just come into the television screen now.
Hurry hard.
Well, he's not having much success with it. The thirds are throwing, and there's 3 blue rock or yellow rocks in play, but there's really only one that's hurting, and Kevin says, "The heck with it. Let's draw to the other side."
And Kevin just says, forget it, I'm not going over there. I'll just draw to the side, because keep in mind that Kevin does have the hammer, right?
So he can do what he wants.
Exactly.
There's the major part of it, the 8-foot and the 4-foot isn't covered, so why not go to the other side? Doran's going to have to do something gambling, and Kevin will probably have a pretty easy shot for his 1 or maybe even more.
And going to that Morissette-Vavrick game, it was 2 points for Morissette, so Morissette's got a commanding lead of 5-2 after 9 ends of curling.
Good shot.
So interesting in those other update games where they've been close all along, but eventually they pulled away in the 9th end. The example is Stacy Cumber being up 3 on Dave Stewart going into the 10th end. Morissette, he's up 3 over Michael Vavrick going into the 10th end. The other game that we're updating you on between Don Walchuk and Brian Costain, what's happening there, Jer?
Well, after 8 ends of curling, it's 3-2 for Don Walchuk. And Donnie right now has an open hit to lie to.
So it looks like he could force Costain to take 1 this end?
That's correct. Costain just missed an opportunity to pick up 2 in 9. He put a draw through the rings. And as it turns out, now it's Donnie Walchuk hitting him, and Donnie will be lying too.
Whoa, Cor.
There's a lot of times this happens that there's 2 enders scored late in the game because the guy that's down has to gamble. And it backfires sometimes, and it did, unfortunately, in Vavrick, he was just heavy on a draw. He shouldn't have been thinking of backing any down to give 2, but, you know, when the team is down, they're gambling, and there is rocks in play sometimes.
And the nightmare continues for Doran Johnson. He went to come around his guards that are just actually guarding, his corner guards guarding the 12-foot, and he went sailing right through the rings. Actually, I should apologize. That wasn't Doran. That was his 3rd, Corey Perrin.
Well, it's making it a very easy end for Kevin. They had 2 of their, I think, Don Bartlett and Dan Petrick both threw 1 of them through the house, and then they drew 1 to the back of the 8-foot, and unfortunately for Johnson, nothing seems to be working right, and it ends up that Kevin's going to have a chance for more than 1 because he does have last rock here.
His 3rd, Kevin Park, Martin asked him just to draw the top 12-foot to the side, away from that corner guard, and they're not touching it at all.
Well,
it's a little deeper than Kevin wanted. He wanted to be top of the rings. He didn't want to be behind the tee line, but as long as that 4-foot's wide open to Kevin, he does have the hammer this end. I think that's all he's worried about when you're up 2 going into the 9th end.
Well, yeah, even if something drastic happens and you slip and give 1 away, you're still 1 up with the hammer. But it does give Doran Johnson a chance to try and freeze to that 1 that Kevin just threw. And then if he does hit it, it might go on to the other one in the back. So when you're down 2 without the hammer, you might as well be down 6 after the end. You got to gamble, and you know, so anything can happen sometimes.
So this is Doran Johnson's 1st rock here in the 9th end, and
let's go away.
Well, Doran's a hometown boy from Lethbridge, born in Lethbridge. He's 35 years old. His occupation is entrepreneur, is that it?
that word was always too big.
I asked him about that one, Hector, and I said, does that mean you're going to play Hector some cribbage after the game for some money?
Good line.
And he said he probably still hasn't spent the money he got from me at the Ottawa the year he was in.
Hey, if his luck's anything like tonight, maybe you should take him on.
Never thought of that, Jackie, but the only thing is the odds are going for him. You know, he might be hot in crib, but terrible in curling. And it's just beautiful weight, but it overcuts. He took a lot of ice, too. He had center ice on it. It just came over, and I don't think it hurt anything. I think Kevin's still laying 2.
Yeah, he's still lying 2, as you can see with that excellent shot cable overhead shot, and Kevin's indicating just let's go top. He actually, Kevin wouldn't want this many rocks in play. You hate when, I don't want any more rocks in play, but he doesn't have a choice with Doran's over curling there.
He's going to the open side again on the opposite of them rocks, and he's hoping to get maybe a bite of the 4-foot in front of the tee line, and Doran hasn't got much left to throw at, and this could be all over in the 9th end.
It sure could, and Kevin Park holding the broom there for Kevin Martin's in-turn draw. He definitely wants to be in front of the tee line, and this could be the telltale end here.
I don't know, it felt pretty good.
Kevin indicating to his sweepers that
Fight the 4.
And, you know,
Fight the
drawing
four.
is a feel, and
Not too deep.
to him
Oh,
it
then.
felt all right. You know, so it felt all right to the guy that threw it. I guess it's obviously going to end up right. And he has got a perfect shot here.
Good, good.
It's a perfect placement in front of the tee line, and Doran Johnson standing back and looking, thinking, oh boy.
Well, he hasn't. The only shot he has is the hit and roll, because he can't free shoot and be shot. And you know, hit and roll is tough enough without having to do it and come someplace where Kevin can't get it out. Kevin is laying 3 right now, and he is 2 up, and worse than that, he's got the hammer. So Doran Johnson better get a strategy book out for the second game.
And this is something Doran definitely hasn't done in a while. He's actually throwing a hit because being down, giving up 4 in the second end, he's been drawing like a madman ever since. And so now he's playing for the intern hit and roll.
Well, it seems to me the last time he hit, he gave up 4. So that was a long ways back. Maybe it's going to repeat itself here. If he doesn't make this one, it'd be a free draw for 4.
That's very, very true. Doran getting comfortable in the hack, throwing his out turn.
Ball. Hey! Hey!
Oh, it's coming. He needs to roll.
Roll it well there. In the hole. Come on, hey!
About as good as you can get, but it's still a pretty easy shot to hit that one through the hole and give up a big 3.
I think he wanted to roll just a bit further, so there's a possibility Martin would jam onto the side. And if I'm Kevin, I'm thinking, well, let's nose it. If we get 1 fine or we punch it through the hole, you get 3. Because there's that big hole right in the middle between those 2 redstones. What do you think?
Yeah, he can hardly go wrong hitting it. Even if he hits it a little bit of an angle, he could hit it straight onto that back one and maybe roll over and give 1 up. But you know, he's got to hit it because it's in the 4-foot and be tough to draw. So.
Good.
And Kevin was just saying, let's nose hit it for 2. And we're going to take a look now at the barn burner of a game going between Don Walchuk and Brian Costain. Jerry, update us there.
What's happened here is Brian Costain is looking at 2 Don Walchuk stones. He's got to hit and stay. And he's out there. They're not laying a brush to it.
This is the last rock of the ninth
This
end.
is the last rock of the 9th, so it's a big steal of 1 for Don Walchuk as he goes up 4-2 after 9 ends.
And here's Kevin Martin's final stone, and they're not touching it at all, and punches it through the hole. Looks like he's going to get a deuce. And I think it's all over but the crying in that game as Kevin Martin picks up a deuce in the 9th end, and he is up by a score of 7-3 over Doran Johnson, and Doran's going to try to come away with something on the 10th end there, and
Well, he hasn't been able to muster anything up at a 1 point on any given end, so I guess he says, well, we might as well run him out of rocks. We only get the provincials once a year. Why not?
And as I get into the 10th end, I'm looking at sheet 2 and 3, and those games are over. They were close games, and until the final few rocks, Frank Morissette defeated Michael Vavrick by a score of 5-2, and Stacy Cumber of Grand Prairie defeated Dave Stewart of Leduc by a score of 6-3.
And of course, our other game
That's why takes the wall, Terry.
Walchuk is up 4-2 without the hammer, coming home against the A winner in the south, Brian Costain, and 2 points seems to be hard to get here if you're a good hitting team.
And here's Terry Hamilton, the lead for Doran Johnson, and doing what he's had to do all game long, just throwing up guards in various spots of the ice.
That's why you got 100 points, 100%. When you put it anywhere between the hog and house, I'm sure he'd rather be hitting and rolling off than being ahead in the game. But right from the second end on, it was an uphill battle that never happened for Doran Johnson. It got worse on the 9th when Kevin hit and rolled out, but kept 2 points. He's up 7-3 coming home, and the lights, I think, would have to go out, and an earthquake happen here for just to try and get 4 points against Kevin Martin right now.
And speaking of 100% leads, Don Bartlett, I would imagine, is still sitting at 100% and makes another perfect peel, and he has had just a great game.
Well, you know, when your front end is playing as good as that front end is, you can't, you know, it makes it easy for Kevin. Kevin hasn't had any really tough shots all through the game that he had to make it to save an end or anything, and that's the way you want to be playing this game. You don't want to have to be playing tough shots when you're skipping, and you know, if that team can keep going hot for Kevin, he's going to be a tough one to overcome.
This is Terry Hamilton's final shot of the 10th end, throwing up another corner guard. He figured those ones were working for him on the far side, so he's...
I think he goes a little too far to the corners. Like, even if they miss this, it would be very tough to do anything about.
We are going right now down to ice level. Jerry Wilson has a winning skip.
Well, thank you, Jackie. And sitting with me is Frank Morissette and a big win over Mike Vavrick. Frank, you must be pleased about the way your team played tonight.
We played exceptionally well. Actually, it was they won the toss and they were going along with the hammer. Then all of a sudden, Mike missed a hit in the 5th end, and that virtually turned the game around. We took control and we played pretty well after the 5th end, and we stayed in control.
So how are you finding the ice here at Leduc?
Oh, it's beautiful ice. It's a pleasure to play on compared to the stuff we play on in Airdrie. It's very nice ice to play on for sure, I'll tell you that.
Tell us a bit about your southern playdowns, and how did things go for the Frank Morissette rink when you come out of the south?
Well, we won our first game, and then we played Mickey Pendergast our second game, and they got a 4. We were up 1-0 playing the 4th end, and they got a 4-ender on us. So that knocked us into B in a hurry, and then we won 6 in a row. We played Mickey to qualify in B, then we turned around and got a 4-ender on them in the very first end. So we were in control right after the first end, and so we were lucky enough to hang on to win there.
Tomorrow you go up against Brian Costain. Have you had the opportunity to play him in southern Alberta before?
I've never played Brian. Well, actually, I played Brian in the Cranbrook Castro last year, and they kind of beat us up and down the ice in 4 ends. It was tied 2-2 after 2, and it was 7-2 after 4, and we shook hands and went home.
What kind of game do you expect from him? A real hitting game, or does he like to come after you?
I'm not sure. It's the only time I ever played him, and it didn't last very long, so it's kind of hard to know what to expect. But I'm sure it'll be a good game. You know, they deserve to be here. They won the A in the Southern, so they're a good team, and they deserve to be here, and they're playing well, obviously.
Well, you've certainly had a good season. You've won you were just telling me over $18,000. Tell us about some of the spiels that you were in.
We played in 3 spiels. We started off in Kelowna, and we ended up in the final against Jimmy Armstrong. We lost the final there. Then the following weekend we played in Vernon, and we qualified and lost a tough game to Brent Giles. And then we went down to Lethbridge and qualified there, and we didn't win or anything, but we had a good spiel there, and those are the only 3 we played in.
So what are your thoughts? How many wins do you think you're going to need to make the playoffs here?
7. 7 should do it.
Well, that should do it for sure. Well, best of luck the rest of the way, Frank, and we'll be following your games as the week goes along.
Thanks, Jerry. Good talking to you.
Thank you. Now back upstairs to Jackie and Hector.
Thanks very much, Jerry. Frank Morissette defeating Michael Vavrick of Grand Prairie by a score of 5-2. It was a real close game till Frank stole that 2 in the 9th end, and that was all he needed to put it away. And Hector, always a sign of a good skip when he can remember those scores. And
of course, you always remember the bad things, but if I'd have been him, I wouldn't have mentioned that thing in Cranbrook, and then nobody'd known we lost to him. But
I've been in Cranbrook. It's a wonder he even remembered.
And luckily, this broadcast doesn't go to Airdrie to talk about the ice. So,
Good line.
But Frank's a veteran. You know, he's been out of Briar playing third. He's been in the provincials 4 times and got off to a good start, beating one of the favorites that we thought, Mike Vavrick. And so who knows? You know, they start off good, and of course all the sheets here were pretty close games except for our own, and it wasn't out of hand completely until the 9th end.
And as you can see, unbelievable as it may seem, Kevin Martin nosed that corner guard that you can see just in front of the rings there, and that's the first nose there's been on the peel since the 6th end. So this is Kevin Park's final stone of the 10th end, and they're going for the Doran Johnson rock, which is in the house, and if he gets this, it's all over.
And whether Doran Johnson likes it or not, they have to shake hands.
Exactly. But
Why? If you kick him down.
he's going to kick him down. That game's over. It is final score. Kevin Martin defeats Doran Johnson by a score of 7-3. We'll be back at the Provincial Men's Curling Championship right after this.
We just made you throw that peel in.
Curling Association is proud to host the 1992 Alberta Labatt Tankard. The NACA provides the following services to the curlers in northern Alberta: management of playdowns, promotion of curling, education in the sport, administration functions. NACA, a curling tradition since 1918. Pepsi is a proud sponsor of the Alberta Tankard, and 1992 marks the 35th year of Pepsi support for curling in Canada, including the Pepsi Juniors from provincial and territorial playdowns, right up to the national championships being held this year in Vernon, BC. This is the longest-running corporate sponsorship in any amateur sport in Canada. In 1992, Pepsi is also a proud sponsor of Team Canada, who will compete in Albertville, France. Pepsi, gotta have it.
We are at the Leduc Curling Club for the final of the Labatt's Men Curling Championships, and we're now over to Sheet 4, the matchup between Don Walchuk and Brian Costain. Walchuk is up 2 without the Brit coming home here, and...
Well, Brian Costain is throwing, and he threw his first one, and all he can do is put it in the house and hope for a miss. If Don Walchuk makes this, he'll win his first game here at the beautiful Leduc Curling Club, and... Don has been going very hot lately, and he's one of his best shots is his hitting. He's a pretty well roundabout curler. He can do anything, but hitting he was probably the best second. He was the All-Star second for 2 years in the Brier, and you know, he's just licking his lips here and saying, "Get rid of this one, and it's all over."
As you can see by the scoreboard there, the deciding factor, the 5th end, when Walchuk picked up a deuce, and as we were mentioning, deuces are definitely hard to come by. This is Walchuk's final stone of the 10th end. This is for the win. His front end just keeping it clean right now. Trevor McGregor and Marcel Rock, and no problem at all on the nose. So Don Walchuk wins his first game here of the Labatt's Alberta Tankard, a final score of 4-2. So once again, recapping all the games, Kevin Martin defeated Doran Johnson 7-3. It was Stacy Cumber of Grand Prairie over David Stewart of Leduc by a 6-3 count. Frank Morissette notched up a win over Michael Vavrick of Grand Prairie, 5-2, a final there. And you just saw the final shot of the other game where Don Walchuk of the Otwell Curling Club defeated Brian Costain 4-2. Right now, we'd like to go down to ice level. Jerry Wilson has Doran Johnson with him.
Well, thank you very much, Jackie. And sitting in with me is Doran Johnson. Doran, a little bit of rough luck tonight.
Yeah, we got down early and stayed down. We didn't force them to score 7, though.
Tell us, Doran, did you get a better feel for the ice by playing the whole 10 ends and started to get the feel of what's going on out there?
Yeah, I thought actually my team played exceptionally well. Their draw weight was perfect most of the game, and I think it's a good start for us. I'm sure glad now there's a round-robin event. In the old format, when you lost that first one, you were so far back, it was tough to have a chance, but now it's only 1 game out of 7.
Well, that's very true. And listening to the percentages, you're right. Your team did play very well. I think Brian Hamilton was at 100% going into the closing ends of the game, and I know the other percentages were very high. It just seemed to be the one end. So tomorrow you go against Stacy Cumber. Have you had the opportunity to play him before?
Boy, do we owe him. He beat us twice in Hay River this year. Once the boys weren't quite up for the game. So I'm hoping we have a little better result this time.
Well, thank you very much, Doran, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much.
And also waiting to come right in here is Kevin Martin, the winning skip. And Kevin, what a nice start to come off with a big win like that.
Oh, you betcha. Against Doran, to win is a bonus, that's for sure.
I thought the boys shot exceptionally well in front of you.
I think you could be pretty happy with that. I think Donnie shot 100, so that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, he'll have a federal inquiry if he didn't get the 100, and I think he, listening to Jackie and Hector upstairs, he was at 100 right at the end of the game. I thought he might get stumped on some of those corner guards that were a foot from the board, but he came through for you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we have to practice that a fair amount because you know that the people are going to be throwing them to you. So I don't know. We practice that. We practice everything, I guess. But tonight went well. We're happy with it.
And tomorrow you go against
Stewart in the morning, and they're a good team. We'll have to be sharp.
He looked a little on edge tonight, but I'm sure he'll come out having that first game jitters out of his system and come out and be playing better tomorrow.
Oh, exactly. That was the same for us last year against Eamon. First game, we came out a little shaky and actually we were down a couple after 5, and that's the way it goes. Stewart will come out good tomorrow. You know, he'll shake this one off, and he'll play well.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot, Jerry.
Well, on behalf of Jackie Ray Greenings and Hector Gervais. Oh, we are going to throw it back upstairs to Jackie Ray and Hector for some more post-game.
For some more battling or post-game, whatever it is we do up here. Kevin Martin was exactly right when he said his team played well in front of them. What was the team average there, Hector?
Team average of 96%. You know, and actually Doran Johnson's team averaged 81%. That would win most games, but they weren't even close after the second end. Of course, losing 7-3. And boy, if Kevin's team seems to like this ice, and look out for them.
Looking up at the matchups for tomorrow, we have Michael Vavrick taking on Don Walchuk. Vavrick losing his first game, Walchuk winning his. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, it's a big game for Vavrick. You know, you lose 2 games in a round robin of only 7 games, and you can't afford to lose any more. You might be right out of it. And I was surprised that Morissette won the game. I thought that Vavrick was going to be tougher than he was tonight, but he just seemed to struggle a little bit, missed a draw, and gave up 2 and late on in the game. And Don Walchuk's going to be tough. He's got a very experienced third in Gordy Trenchy, and he's got 2 young fellows in the front end. Exactly what you'd like to have in this situation.
The other matchup, we look at South meets the South. It's Frank Morissette with a 1-0 record and Brian Costain with 0-1. It's up for grabs, I think, in that one.
Well, as Morissette said, he says, we owe him one. We only played 4 ends against him, and we got clobbered, so, you know, it's the South against South, and of course, when you have 1 win under your belt, the other guy has to win his game. And
what's interesting with all the matchups for tomorrow is that every team that's meeting, it's one team has won and the other team has lost. Someone's at 1-0 and the other's at 0-1, so that's important. Doran Johnson, another one. We just saw he lost that game to Kevin Martin. He's going to be taking on Stacey Cumber, and he says he owes Stacey as well.
Well, you know, I think any of the teams with their 1 loss will dread losing tomorrow, especially the first game, and then after that you got to win 5 straight, or I don't think you're going to make the playoffs. Maybe 3 might make 3rd spot, but I'd hate to have 2 losses in a row and expect to win the Alberta Championship.
And then the last matchup, Northern Alberta matchup that Kevin Martin was just talking about. He's going to be playing David Stewart, who lost his first game tonight, and definitely David came out struggling. And it was like they were discussing the first game jitters, but he's going to probably come out strong, but he's going to have to be awful, awful good to beat Kevin tomorrow.
He was playing against Cumber, who we didn't even know. Now he's playing against the Canadian champion, and unless he plays better than he did tonight, he's not going to, you know, and Kevin's team plays as well as they have, he's going to have a tough thing on his hands to try to beat Kevin tomorrow.
So that wraps up our first round here at the Labatt's Alberta Tankard at the Leduc Curling Club. We're going to go down back to ice level. Jerry Wilson has Don Walchuk with him.
Well, thank you, Jackie, and sitting in with me is Don Walchuk, and Don, nice to get the first one over with, and a win at that.
Yeah, it's always nice to be, I guess, out front right away, and instead of losing and maybe feeling a little depressed that you're already behind the pack by, you know, you're already in 5th spot. But it's pretty early. We're just real happy. It's we were kind of scared of going, you know, 0-7 at the beginning, and now we got the 1 win. It's like it's an all new territory for us now, so it feels really good.
Tell me something. Have you ever had the chance to play Brian Costain before tonight's game?
Sorry, Jerry?
I said, have you had the opportunity to play Brian Costain before tonight's game?
No, I hadn't. I know the 2 representatives from the South, but Brian, and never played him before, and never knew much about him, and they made some great shots, as we did, and fortunately we came out on top.
I thought he started off very strong and looked like he was really in the thick of things, but you just kind of took control near the end, and on the 9th end when you got that hit and roll out, that was a big shot.
Yeah, the 9th end was a turnaround. He actually had a chance for 2. Didn't quite work out. One of their, I think his 3rd man threw one through the house, and fortunately we thought we were going to force the 1, but we ended up stealing one. It was a big point.
The end before, you had a quiet tap back. Could you see very much of that rock, or were you just a bit light on the weight?
Actually, we were just playing for 1, Jerry. I didn't want a chance, you know, going for 2. If we take 1 there, that's control, and the 8th end is a big end to count and to go up 1. So we were just playing to draw into it, and we knew we had some backing there if we were a little tight.
And tomorrow you go up against?
You know what, Jerry? I don't even know who I got. I was just worried about the first game and just one at a time. So I imagine when we get back to the room, we'll take it one at a time again. So
Actually, I did have the opportunity to look. It was Mike Vavrick, and he lost a tough one tonight against Frank Morissette. Have you had the opportunity to play him before?
no, never. Yeah, I guess I have with Pat playing second. We've played against them. They've been in the provincials several times. They're going to be one of the teams to contend with, and they're going to be tough.
How did you find the ice conditions here tonight in Leduc?
I think they're excellent. They're quite fast. The rocks are moving, and there's opportunities to bury. I think you saw a little bit more open curling tonight because I think it's the first round, and everybody just wants to sort of get into a groove and do some hitting and make some shots that way. So.
And what does your team have planned for the rest of the event? Are you going to play that hitting game, or do you think you'll get into some more draw shots?
No, I think that we'll definitely get into more draw shots. Bang curling is too boring. You need to have a little bit of a few rocks in play, and we'll do that when we have the chance.
Well, thank you very much, Don. Your team is going excellently as you won the last 3 games in the Super League and rolled off a big win here tonight, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
Well, thank you. And I'm Jerry Wilson, and I'm going to be signing off from the Leduc Curling Club in Leduc. And make sure you join us tomorrow, as we're going to be featuring Don Walchuk and Mike Vavrick. And that should be a good game, as Mike Vavrick, losing his first game to Frank Morissette, really needs a win here to get back in contention. Don Walchuk with a big win here, Kevin Martin with a win, Stacy Coombe with a win. So, from the Leduc Curling Club in Leduc, I'm Jerry Wilson, and on behalf of Jackie Ray Greening and Heck Gervais, we'll see you tomorrow at 1:30.
The Northern Alberta Curling